Young Bond, The Thesis Is Murder. A college years prequel.
Midnight in the stacks, a key I shouldn't hold, a professor with a secret, a story centuries old. They told me watch your guy to keep her from the truth. I'm just a student hiding in the body of a sleuth. The typewriter is quiet, but the silence is a lie. Every word I type for her is a nail in her goodbye. The thesis is murder. I'm writing her end. Not a lover, not a rival, just a weapon and a friend. The thesis is murder. The pages turn to ash. Every secret, every sentence is another hour past. The thesis is murder, and I'm the one they chose to write the final chapter, to watch the curtains close. The poker game at midnight, Vaughn's green eyes don't blink. He's killed before, he'll kill again. He doesn't even think. And David in the stairwell, a bruise before the fall. Timothy in the river, no one heard him call. Cat is watching from the bed. She sees the gun I hide. She doesn't know that I'm the one who's dying from inside. The thesis is murder. I'm writing her end. Not a lover, not a rival, just a weapon and a friend. The thesis is murder. The pages turn to ash. Every secret, every sentence is another hour past. The thesis is murder, and I'm the one they chose to write the final chapter, to watch the curtains close. She fought me in the kitchen, a kettle and a knife. She didn't want to leave the world, she didn't want this life. But orders are the anchors that keep the shadows safe. And I'm the one they send when there's a memory to erase. The cushion on her face, the silence in the room. I killed the only person who believed I'd leave the She asked if I'd remember her. I said I'd never leave. But promises are bullets and the trigger makes you grieve. The manuscript is ashes now, the thesis lost to flame. The innocent James Bond is dead. Long live the
Chapter 1. The Silent Typewriter. Fade in. The sound of a single, slow typewriter key. Clack. The echo lingers too long. Pause. Another. Clack. A door closes in the distance, heavy like a vault. Then silence. Not empty silence. the kind that listens back. Interior University Library, Annex, Night. The room exists in the space between official floor plans. No windows, no number on the door, just a brass plate long since tarnished that once read "Archive Restricted" and now reads nothing at all. The ceiling is low. Victorian tiles, cracked in places, stained by decades of old rain. A single bulb hangs from a frayed wire, but it hasn't worked since the war. Instead, the room is lit by a single banker's lamp with a green glass shade, the kind they used in Whitehall bunkers when the bombs were falling. The light falls down, not up. It creates a small island of visibility in a sea of shadow. Everything beyond the edge of the desk dissolves into murk. The walls are lined with shelves, not books, files, thousands of them. Cardboard, beige, tied with ribbon that has turned brown with age. Some lean, some have fallen. No one has straightened them in years. This is where inconvenient truths come to suffocate. At the center of the room, a heavy oak table, scratched, stained with coffee rings and something darker, ink perhaps, or something else. On it, 2 chairs, one empty, one occupied. James Bond sits perfectly still. He is 20 years old, but his face belongs to a man who has already stopped being surprised by cruelty. His jaw is set. His eyes are the color of North Sea ice, pale blue, unmoving, recording everything. His hair is dark, parted with geometric precision, not a strand out of place. He wears a dark roll-neck sweater. Navy, no collar, no tie, no college scarf, no insignia, no indication that he belongs anywhere. His trousers are charcoal. His shoes are black, polished to a mirror shine, the only thing in the room that reflects any light. Before him, on the table, a single manila folder, closed, no label, no stamp. Just the faint ghost of a word pressed into the cardboard, Orion, then crossed out. And across from him in the second chair, a man who will one day be known as M. But not yet. Right now he is just a face in the half-dark. Old, gaunt. His suit is expensive but tired, the sleeves are shiny at the elbows, the knot of his tie pulled too tight, as if strangling himself might distract him from something worse. His hands rest on the table, long fingers, yellowed nails. The hands of a chain-smoker who has run out of reasons to stop. He does not introduce himself. He simply places a photograph on the table, slides it across the oak. The edge of the photo catches a scratch in the wood and rotates slightly, a fraction of a degree, as if the room itself is adjusting to better see the face. M, voice like gravel, wrapped in silk. You're reading history, Bond. It is not a question. Bond, without looking up. I'm reading what I'm given. His voice is soft, almost polite, but there is something underneath, a flatness, a lack of curiosity, as if the answer was written hours ago and he is simply reciting it. M. This time, you're reading what you write. He taps the photograph with his index finger. The nail makes a dry sound tock, like a key turning in a lock no one knew existed. Bond looks at it now. A woman, 50, perhaps 55, grey hair pulled back so tightly it stretches the skin at her temples, high cheekbones, a long, straight nose. Her mouth is a thin, horizontal line, not cruel, but without indulgence. She wears a tweed jacket with leather patches at the elbows. Behind her, bookshelves, real ones, filled with leather-bound volumes that have been read, not just displayed. She is not smiling. She looks like a woman who has never understood why anyone would. M. Professor Elena Edwards, Cambridge, lecturer in contemporary history, fellow of St. Anselm's College, special subject, unspoken history, the back channels, the off-book arrangements, the things that never made it into the cabinet minutes. He pauses, lights a cigarette. The flare of the match illuminates his face for 1 second, deep grooves around the mouth, pouches under the eyes, the skin of a man who has seen too many dawns he did not welcome. M. Exhaling smoke. She's writing a thesis, the unwritten chapters of Cold War intelligence. It will be meticulous, it will be sourced, It will be inconvenient. Bond. Inconvenient for whom? M smiles. It does not reach his eyes. M. Let's say, for people who prefer the past to remain past. He slides a second item across the table, a single sheet of paper, typed, official, but the letterhead has been cut away with scissors, a clean, brutal excision. Bond reading. She's requesting access to files that don't exist. M. Files that cannot exist, but she doesn't know that. She thinks they're buried, misplaced, waiting for the right scholar to unearth them. Bond. And if she finds out, they were never there. M takes a long drag, exhales through his nose. Two grey streams, like the breath of a dragon pretending to be asleep. M. Then she'll start asking different questions, harder questions, questions that lead to real files, files that would end careers, alliances, lives. Bond flat. And you want me to stop her? M. I want you to guide her, become her research assistant, her confidant, her friend if necessary, sit next to her in the archives, make her tea, laugh at her academic jokes, and make sure she never finds what she's looking for. Bond. By giving her nothing. M leaning forward. By giving her just enough, enough to finish her thesis, enough to earn her a promotion, enough to keep her busy and quiet for the rest of her career. Bond studies the photograph again, the grey hair, the straight mouth, the eyes that seem to look past the camera at something just out of frame, something she alone can see. Bond. And if she refuses to be guided? The silence stretches. The lamp hums, a low, insect frequency felt more than heard. M grinds his cigarette into a glass ashtray that hasn't been emptied in weeks. The dead tobacco sizzles briefly, then surrenders. M. Then we have other protocols. He stands. His knees crack two soft pops like the first warning of a structure beginning to fail. He walks to the shelves, runs a finger along the spines of the files, pulls one at random, opens it, reads nothing, closes it, returns it to its exact place, M, without turning. Do you know why this room exists, Bond? Bond. To archive things that never happened. M, almost amused. Clever boy, yes, but also to archive the people who almost found out. There's a difference between a secret and a person who knows a secret. One is ink, the other is flesh. Flesh is harder to control. He turns now. His silhouette is cut by the green light, half his face illuminated, half lost in shadow. He looks like a portrait that has been torn in half and imperfectly reassembled. M. Professor Edwards is flesh, warm flesh, hopeful flesh. She believes in truth, in progress, in the idea that the past, properly examined, can heal the present. He walks back to the table, places both palms flat on the oak, leans in, M, whispering. She is wrong. Bond does not flinch, does not blink. His hands remain in his lap, loose, relaxed, ready. Bond. When do I start? M reaches into his jacket, produces a key, old brass, heavy. The teeth are worn, it has opened many doors. He places it on the table. It lands with a dull thud, heavier than it looks. M. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. her office is in the south wing of St. Anselm's, 3rd floor, the door with the stained glass. She'll be expecting a student, a first year, bright, eager to please. Bond. And my name? M, straightening up. Your name is James Bond. That much is true. Everything else, your parents' professions, your childhood home, your reasons for choosing Cambridge, I've had prepared for you. Read the file, memorize it, burn it. He walks to the door. His hand rests on the brass handle. He does not turn it yet. Without looking back. One more thing, Bond. Bond. Sir. Professor Edwards had a husband, a mathematician. He died last year. Heart attack. Very sudden. Very convenient. Bond. Are you suggesting? I'm suggesting nothing. I'm telling you, she is alone. She is grieving. She is looking for meaning in the only place she knows how, the past. That makes her vulnerable, and vulnerability in our line of work. He finally opens the door. A draft of cold air rushes in, the smell of old stone, wet leaves, and something metallic. Blood, perhaps, or just the rust of forgotten pipes. It is a weapon. He leaves. The door closes. The lock engages automatically. A soft, pneumatic hiss, like a held breath finally released. Interior Bond's college room night. A small room, smaller than the annex but warmer. A single bed made militarily, hospital corners, not a wrinkle. A wardrobe of dark wood, the varnish cracked. A sink in the corner with 2 toothbrushes in a glass. One of them is unused. The desk faces a window. The window faces a brick wall, 3 feet between them, no view, no escape. Just brick, streaked with decades of rain, and a single iron pipe that drips in the rhythm of a slow, dying metronome. Bond sits at the desk. Photograph of Professor Edwards is propped against the lamp. He has turned it slightly, so the face catches the light, but the background remains in shadow. He studies her, not her features, her eyes. They are not the eyes of a naive woman. They are the eyes of someone who has already lost everything that mattered, someone who has nothing left to fear. Those, he thinks, are the most dangerous people of all. He looks at his hands, long fingers, clean nails, no calluses, the hands of a student, a reader. A boy who has never killed anyone, but the hands are steady, too steady. He doesn't wonder if he can do what they ask. He wonders if it will feel like anything at all. He feeds a sheet of paper into the typewriter. It is an Olivetti Lettera 22, portable, reliable, unremarkable. The keys are sticky in cold weather. Tonight the room is warm. They move like butter. He rolls the paper until the top edge sits exactly 1 inch from the platen. Precise. Perfect. He begins to type, slowly, methodically. Each key falls with a sound like a small, final verdict. Thesis proposal, Elena Edwards. Subject, the unwritten chapters of Cold War intelligence. A thesis submitted in partial fulfillment. He stops, reads the words. They are correct. They are innocent. They are the first layer of a lie that will grow until it becomes indistinguishable from the truth. The sound of the carriage return. Ding, a small bell, tolling for no one. Bond voiceover, quiet, almost bored. The first lie is always the easiest. It doesn't feel like a lie yet. It feels like strategy, like positioning, like a chess move you learned in a book. He lights a cigarette, a Turkish blend, harsh, unfiltered. The smoke rises in a single, untroubled column, hits the ceiling, and disperses like a secret breaking apart. Bond, voiceover. Professor Edwards thinks she's writing history. She thinks the past is a puzzle that can be solved. She doesn't know that the past is a battlefield, and the victors don't just write the history books. He looks at the photograph one last time. Bond, voiceover. They rewrite the witnesses. He takes the photograph, turns it face down, slides it under the corner of his desk blotter out of sight, but not out of reach. Then he returns to the typewriter. Page 1. Introduction. The author wishes to thank. The keys fall. The smoke curls. The pipe outside the window drips. Drip, drip, drip. Like a clock counting down to something that has already begun. Fade to black. The last sound, not the typewriter, not the drip, but the soft, almost imperceptible click of a safety catch being released on a weapon that hasn't been invented yet. Chapter 2. Midnight in the Stacks. Fade in. The sound of rain, not heavy, persistent, the kind that seeps into stone and stays there. A clock strikes 11 in the distance. Then footsteps on marble, one pair, deliberate, calm. Interior St. Anselm's College, South Wing, night. The south wing of St. Anselm's is the oldest part of the college. Built in 1824. Renovated in 1903. Not renovated since. The walls are made of limestone that sweats in humid weather. The floors are black and white marble, not pristine, but worn into shallow valleys by a century and a half of hesitant footsteps. The portraits on the walls are of men who have been dead so long that their names no longer appear in any tea exterior book. They stare down at the living with the quiet superiority of those who have absolutely nothing left to lose. James Bond walks alone. His footsteps echo click, 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 each one a small, sharp declaration of presence. He carries a leather satchel over one shoulder. Inside, a notebook, 2 pencils, a copy of Edward's draft, and a key that does not belong to him. He wears a dark overcoat, not student issue, not anything a first year could afford. The collar is turned up against the draft. His hands are in his pockets, his face is empty. He reaches the end of the corridor. Before him, a heavy oak door with a stained glass window set into its upper half. The glass depicts an open book and a burning lamp, the college crest. The motto beneath is worn to illegibility. Bond does not knock. He inserts the key. It turns with a sound like a small animal swallowing. The door opens. Interior Professor Edward's office, continuous. The office is not what he expected. It is not cluttered, not chaotic, not the nest of a distracted academic buried in paper. It is sparse, a desk, a chair, a bookshelf, a window, a single armchair by an unlit fireplace. Everything is clean, everything is in its place, everything is waiting. The books on the shelf are not arranged by subject or author. They are arranged by size, tallest to shortest, like soldiers on parade. Their spines are dark, burgundy, navy, forest green. No dust jackets. No bright colors, nothing that shouts. On the desk, a brass lamp with a green shade identical to the one in the annex. A fountain pen in a stand, a blotter of dark leather. A single sheet of paper blank, no photographs, no personal items, no trace of the woman who lives here. Bond stands in the center of the room. He does not sit. He does not touch anything. He simply waits. He has been trained to wait. 17 minutes. Then footsteps in the corridor, heavier than his. Accompanied by the rhythm of a walking stick, tap, 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 each third step. The door opens. Professor Elena Edwards enters. She is shorter than he expected. 5'4", perhaps 5. But she fills the doorway like a monument. Her grey hair is pinned in a tight coil at the nape of her neck. Her face is angular, high cheekbones, a strong jaw, eyes the color of faded denim. She wears a tweed skirt, a cream blouse, and a cardigan with leather buttons. No jewelry except a plain silver watch on her left wrist. She stops when she sees him. Edwards. You're early. Bond. You said 9 o'clock. Edwards, closing the door behind her. I said 9 o'clock. It is 8:43. Bond. I was in the area. She hangs her coat on a hook behind the door. The movement is precise, economical, no wasted motion. She reminds him of the women he saw in Geneva, the ones who worked in the UN basements, the ones who never spoke about their work, the ones who always knew more than they said. Edwards, sitting behind her desk. Sit down, Mr. Bond. He sits, the chair is hard, unforgiving, designed to keep visitors awake. Edwards, opening a drawer, removing a file. I've read your application twice. It's very polished. Bond. Thank you. Edwards. It wasn't a compliment. Polished means practiced. Polished means someone helped you write it. Polished means you're hiding something. She looks up. Her eyes are not hostile. They are examining. like a botanist examining a specimen that does not quite fit any known category. Edwards. What are you hiding, Mr. Bond? Bond holds her gaze, does not blink, does not look away. Bond. Nothing that will affect my work. A long pause. The clock on the mantelpiece ticks, loudly, obscenely loud in the stillness. Edwards leaning back. Very well, we'll start with the basics. My thesis. What do you know about it? Bond. Cold War intelligence. The early years. The decisions that were made without oversight. The people who made them and then made sure no one would ever know. Edwards nodding slowly. And why does that interest you? Bond without hesitation. Because the winners write the history books, but the survivors write the footnotes, and sometimes the footnotes are more important than the T-exterior. She studies him for a long moment. Then, almost imperceptibly, the corner of her mouth lifts. Edwards. Very good, Mr. Bond. That's almost exactly what I wrote in my proposal. She hands him the file. Edwards. Read this, everything in it. By tomorrow, I expect you to know my argument better than I do. She stands. The interview is over. Bond stands as well. He takes the file. It is heavier than it looks. Edwards moving to the window. One more thing, Mr. Bond. Bond. Ma'am. She looks out at the rain. Her reflection in the glass is ghostly, transparent, fragile, already fading. Edwards. The last research assistant I had. A young man named Timothy. Very bright, very eager. He disappeared 3 weeks ago. Bond. Disappeared. Edwards. Stopped coming to lectures, stopped answering his phone. His room was cleaned out by the end of the week. The college says he withdrew. Personal reasons. She turns. Her eyes are hard now. Edwards. I don't believe them. Bond. What do you believe? She walks back to her desk, sits, opens a drawer, removes a photograph, slides it across the desk to Bond. It shows a young man, blonde, smiling, standing in front of the college library. His arm is around a woman, Edwards, younger, her hair still brown. Edwards. I believe someone didn't want him to finish what he started, and I believe they'll try again. She looks at Bond, not as a professor looks at a student, as a general looks at a soldier she is about to send into battle. Edwards. The question, Mr. Bond, is whether you'll disappear too, or whether you'll stay long enough to help me find out what happened to Timothy. Bond puts the photograph in his satchel. Bond. I'll stay. Edwards, almost smiling. We'll see. Interior college library, main reading room, night. 3 days later, the library closes at 10. Bond stays until 11, hidden in the stacks. He has a key, the same key that opened Edward's office. It opens many doors. He is looking for Timothy's file, not the official one, the college will have scrubbed that, the unofficial one, the one that exists in the spaces between records. The stacks are a labyrinth, iron shelves, narrow aisles. The ceiling is barrel-vaulted, painted pale blue with gold stars, a Victorian attempt to make scholarship feel celestial. It doesn't. It feels like a tomb. Bond walks slowly. His rubber-soled shoes make no sound. His hands are gloved, thin leather, the kind that allows touch without leaving prints. He knows what he's looking for. A box, brown cardboard, labeled temporary disposal pending. The college's purgatory for files that are too sensitive to keep but too dangerous to burn. He finds it in the basement, sub-level 3. The lights here are fluorescent, sickly, buzzing, flickering. The air smells of mold and old paper and something else, something sweet. Bond, voiceover quiet. You learn to recognize the smell of death, not because you're told, because your body knows before your mind does. It's the smell of flowers that have been left in water too long, of fruit that started to turn, of something that was alive and isn't anymore. He stops. The box is on a low shelf, taped shut. He cuts the tape with a penknife, small, silver, sharp enough to shave with. Inside, Timothy's file, not just his academic records, his life, photographs, letters, a diary, leather-bound, worn at the edges, transcripts of interviews with sources that no longer exist, and a single sheet of paper, typewritten, unsigned. I know what they did. I know who ordered it. If you're reading this, I'm probably dead. Don't let them do the same to you. Bond reads it twice. Then he puts everything back, closes the box, reseals the tape, stands up. He should leave, but he doesn't, because there is another door at the end of the basement corridor, a steel door, padlocked, a sign, no unauthorized access, college archives. Bond examines the lock, old, simple, a few minutes' work. He works quickly, quietly. The padlock opens with a soft click. The door swings open. Interior College Archives, Sub-Level 3 Night. This is not an archive. It is a morgue, not for bodies, for reputations, row after row of filing cabinets, each drawer labeled with a year, 1945 to 1975, the golden age of secrets. Bond pulls a drawer at random, 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Inside, not official documents, personal correspondence, letters between intelligence officers and college administrators. Memos about problematic students, the ones who asked too many questions, who published the wrong articles, who attracted the wrong kind of attention. Each memo ends with the same phrase: suggested action, administrative withdrawal, reason, mental health concerns. Bond closes the drawer. He opens another. 1951. Burgess and McLean. The Cambridge spies. More letters. More memos. More students who withdrew for personal reasons. And then a photograph, tucked between two files. Black and white, faded at the edges. It shows four men, young, in gowns, standing in front of the same library where Bond now stands. One of them is laughing. One of them is not. Bond knows the one who is not. He has seen his face in another contexteria, in a briefing file, under a different name. The man who will one day send him on this mission. Bond puts the photograph in his satchel. He closes the drawer. He leaves the way he came. Exterior, college courtyard, night. The rain has stopped. The flagstones are slick and black, reflecting the pale glow of the moon. Bond stands in the shadow of a buttress, waiting. His breath fogs in the cold air. His hands are still gloved. His face is still empty. But inside, something is turning. Bond, voiceover. I went looking for a missing student. I found an archive of missing students, dozens of them. And I found something else, something I wasn't looking for. He lights a cigarette. The flame illuminates his face for 1 second. Bond, voiceover. I found out that the service doesn't just protect secrets, it protects itself. And everyone else, the professors, the students, the curious, the brave, everyone else is just kindling. He exhales, the smoke rises, disappears. Bond, voiceover. The question is, what do you do when you realize the people who trained you are the people you're supposed to be hunting? He flicks the cigarette into a puddle. It hisses, dies. Bond, voiceover. I don't know yet, but Timothy knew, and Timothy is dead. He walks away. His footsteps are silent. The moon disappears behind a cloud. The courtyard is dark. And somewhere in the library basement, the box labeled temporary disposal pending waits for no one. Because no one is coming to claim it. No one ever does. Fade to black. The sound of a door closing. Then silence. Then the faint, distant tolling of a bell, 11 o'clock, or midnight, or the hour when the living stop and the dead take over. Chapter 3. The Poker Gambit. Fade in. The sound of rain on a high window, not the gentle rain of the countryside. The hard, indifferent rain of the city, the kind that washes nothing clean. A clock strikes midnight. Then the shuffle of cards, professional, precise. The sound of men who have done this before. Interior St. Anselm's College, Senior Common Room, night. The senior common room is a lie carved in oak and walnut. At first glance, it speaks of quiet contemplation. Leather armchairs worn smooth by the backsides of generations of dons. Walnut paneling so dark, it absorbs the lamplight rather than reflecting it. Portraits of Victorian scholars whose names no student has remembered for 50 years. Their faces are stern, bearded, self-satisfied men who believed empire was eternal and God was English. A fireplace dominates the far wall. It is large enough to roast an entire deer, its mantle carved with garlands of stone fruit and acanthus leaves. Above it hangs a painting of the college founder, a bishop with a crooked mitre and eyes that follow you across the room. Decanters of sherry sit on a silver tray. The liquid inside has turned to amber. No one has touched it in weeks. The air smells of old wood, older ambition, and something else, something metallic, faint, like the residue of 1,000 small deceptions. But tonight, the sherry is untouched. The fire is unlit. The armchairs are pushed back from the hearth. Tonight, the men gathered around the baize-covered table in the center of the room are not contemplating classics or composing lectures on the Peloponnesian War. They are playing poker, and the stakes are not measured in pounds. Interior senior common room, poker table, night. 5 men, 7 empty chairs, an audience of shadows cast by a single overhead lamp, a brass fixture with a glass shade, the kind found in interrogation rooms and operating theaters. It casts harsh light downward, leaving faces in sharp relief and everything else in murk. James Bond sits at the head of the table, not by invitation, by infiltration. He wears a second-hand dinner jacket, borrowed from a tailor who caters to junior dons, then altered by Bond himself in the small hours of the morning. The sleeves are a quarter-inch too short, revealing a sliver of white cuff and the plain silver cufflinks beneath. The collar sits imperfectly against his neck, a half-centimeter gap where the fabric doesn't quite meet his skin. But he wears it like armor. His posture is upright but not rigid. His hands rest on the table, still relaxed, the fingers slightly curled. A smoker's hands, a marksman's hands. His tie is black silk, knotted in a Windsor. His hair is combed back from his forehead, still damp from the rain. Before him, a stack of chips, not large, perhaps 40 pounds worth in the old currency, not desperate either, enough to stay in the game, enough to be noticed, not enough to be remembered. Across from him, Professor Alastair Vaughan. He is 52 years old, but his face belongs to a man who has been 52 for 2 decades, distinguished, composed, unruffled by the passage of time. His hair is silver, not grey, but true silver, combed back from a pronounced widow's peak. It catches the light and holds it, like moonlight on still water. His face is the kind that belongs on a coin, strong jaw, aquiline nose, cheekbones that could cut glass. His mouth is thin, well-shaped, accustomed to smiling only when it means something else. He wears a smoking jacket of burgundy velvet, the lapels piped in black silk. A signet ring, gold, bearing a crest Bond does not recognize, sits on the 3rd finger of his right hand. His nails are buffed to a high shine, each cuticle perfectly maintained. The hands of a man who has never done manual labor and never will. His eyes are pale green, the color of bottle glass, of shallow sea water over sand, of a cat watching a bird it cannot quite reach. They move slowly, deliberately. They miss nothing. Behind him, the fireplace yawns black, cold, waiting. Vaughan, laying down his cards, 5 fingers, spreading them across the green baize like a fan. Gentlemen, the pot is mine. Again. His voice is low, unhurried, with the faintest trace of an accent, something from the border country, perhaps, worn smooth by decades of Cambridge dinners and London clubs. It is not a voice that asks for permission. It is a voice that announces. He reaches forward and pulls the pile of chips toward him. His fingers move with mechanical precision, stacking, counting, arranging. The chips click against each other, a small, percussive sound, like the counting of beads in an abbey. The other players sigh. One, a young physics don named Harris, pushes back from the table. His chair scrapes against the floorboards, a raw, grating sound. His face is flushed, not from drink, but from the peculiar humiliation of losing to someone who makes losing look effortless. Harris, standing, his voice tight. I'm out. You're playing with house money, Alastair. Or perhaps not house money, perhaps something else entirely. Vaughan looks up. His pale green eyes settle on Harris with the patience of a predator who has already decided its prey is not worth the chase. Vaughan. Perhaps I'm simply lucky, Harris. Luck is a talent like any other. He says it softly, unmockingly, as if he genuinely believes it or has trained himself to sound as if he does. Harris snorts, a short, angry exhalation through his nose. He gathers his remaining chips, a pitiful handful, and drops them into his jacket pocket with a jingle that sounds almost obscene in the quiet room. Harris. Luck is a story men tell themselves when they don't want to admit they've been outplayed. He turns. His shoes' brown brogues, scuffed at the toes, carry him toward the door. His hand finds the brass handle. He pauses. Harris, without turning. Good night, gentlemen, and good luck, Mr. Bond. You'll need it. The door closes behind him. The sound of the latch clicking into place is unnaturally loud. Bond says nothing. He reaches for his chips, not to count them, but to adjust their alignment. He prefers them stacked in precise columns of 10. No one else notices. Vaughan does. The game continues. Interior senior common room 2 hours later. The clock on the mantelpiece has struck 1, then 2. The chimes have faded into memory. The rain has softened to a whisper, a constant, sibilant presence against the window, like a congregation murmuring prayers to no one. The original 6 players are now 3. Thornton, the retired brigadier, sits to Vaughan's left. He is 73 years old, with a face like weathered stone and a hearing aid that whistles faintly when he leans too far forward. His hands are spotted, the knuckles swollen with arthritis. But his eyes are still sharp, pale blue, set deep in a web of wrinkles, missing nothing. He wears a tweed suit that has seen better decades. The elbows are mended with leather patches. The collar is frayed. He does not seem to care. His stack of chips has dwindled to a sad, scattered collection, fewer than he started with, fewer than he would like. Bond sits at the head of the table. His chips have grown, not dramatically, but steadily. He has folded when he should have folded. He has raised when the odds were in his favor. He has played like a man who learned the game from professionals, not from books. Vaughan has noticed. Thornton, sighing a long, rattling exhalation. I fold. He lays down his cards, a pair of 8s, a 5, a jack, a deuce, nothing. He pushes them toward the center of the table with the back of his hand, a gesture of weary surrender. He collects what remains of his dignity and what remains of his chips and retreats to the fireplace. He stands before the cold hearth, hands clasped behind his back, pretending to study the portrait of the bishop with the crooked mitre. Now it is just Bond and Vaughan. The room feels smaller. The shadows have moved closer, as if drawn by the heat of the contest. The single lamp overhead seems to dim, or perhaps it is only Bond's imagination, playing tricks on the edge of his perception. Vaughan, shuffling, unnecessarily, professionally. I don't believe we've been introduced. His fingers move over the cards with a dancer's grace, cutting, riffling, bridging. The deck flows through his hands like water. He does not look at what he is doing. His pale green eyes are fixed on Bond. Vaughan. You're not a fellow, you're not a don. You don't teach, you don't research, you don't attend chapel. You are, in fact, a ghost, present but not present, visible but not seen. He pauses. The cards snap together in his hands, a single percussive thwack. Vaughan. So tell me, Mr. Bond, meeting his gaze, not holding it, simply refusing to look away. Bond, James Bond. The name hangs in the air between them. Vaughan's lips twitch, the ghost of a smile there and gone. Vaughan. Bond, yes, I've seen you. He begins to deal. The cards slide across the bays, smooth, silent, each one landing exactly where it should. He deals like a croupier, like a man who has spent years behind a green felt table in rooms where the windows have no glass. Vaughan. Edward's new shadow, her little research assistant, the one who types so beautifully and asks so few questions. 5 cards each. Bond does not look at his. He keeps his eyes on Vaughan. Bond. I ask the questions that need asking. Vaughan picking up his cards, fanning them with his thumb, studying them without seeming to. And the others, the ones that don't need asking. Bond. I save those for later. Vaughan looks up. His pale green eyes travel over Bond's face, the jaw, the eyes, the hands resting on the table. He is cataloguing, assessing, weighing. Vaughan. Elena is a remarkable woman, brilliant, tenacious. He pauses. His thumb strokes the edge of his cards, a nervous habit, perhaps, or a calculated gesture of casualness. Vaughan, his voice dropping slightly. Naive. He places a chip in the center of the table. His fingers release it with a small, deliberate flourish, as if he is bestowing a gift. Bond. Naive. Vaughan. She believes the truth will set her free. She doesn't understand that some truths are cages. He leans back in his chair. The leather creaks beneath him, a soft, animal sound. Vaughan. Gilded, perhaps, comfortable, even. Ornate cages with comfortable cushions and a view of the garden, but cages nonetheless. He gestures with his chin toward Bond's cards. Vaughan. Are you going to look at your cards, Mr. Bond? Bond looks. He lifts the cards one by one, holding them close to his chest. The faces are revealed in sequence. Queen of Hearts, Queen of Spades, Jack of Clubs, 10 of Diamonds, 7 of Hearts. A pair of queens, nothing special, nothing desperate. A hand that could win if the bluff was right, or lose if the courage failed. He places them face down on the table. His expression does not change. He raises. The chip he pushes forward is a 5-pound piece, heavy, ivory-colored, stamped with the college crest. It lands with a solid thunk, the sound of commitment. Bond, quietly. What happened to Timothy? The question lands like a stone dropped into still water. Ripples spread through the silence. Vaughan does not blink, does not pause, does not miss a beat. His hands continue to hold his cards. His eyes continue to study Bond. His breathing does not change. But something shifts behind his face. A curtain drawn aside for a fraction of a second, revealing a room Bond was not meant to see. Vaughan. Timothy. He says the name as if tasting it, a small, unfamiliar flavor on his tongue. Vaughan. Timothy. What was his surname? Bond. Preston. Timothy Preston. Vaughan, placing a chip on the table, calm, deliberate, the ivory disc landing without a sound. Ah, yes, Preston. He reaches for his glass, a cut crystal tumbler containing 2 fingers of Macallan, untouched for the past hour. He swirls the liquid. It leaves amber trails on the crystal. Vaughan. He was Edward's research assistant before you. Bright boy, eager, perhaps too eager. Bond. He disappeared 3 weeks ago. His room was cleaned out. His records were sealed. The college says he withdrew for personal reasons. Vaughan, taking a sip of whiskey. a small, measured mouthful. And you believe otherwise. Bond. I believe Timothy found something he wasn't supposed to find. Vaughan sets down his glass. The crystal makes a soft clink against the wood. Vaughan. Such as. Bond. I believe he found out what happened to the students who asked too many questions. The ones who got too close to the truth. The ones who disappeared before him. He leans forward, not much, just enough to bring his face closer to the circle of lamplight. Bond. And I believe someone made sure he wouldn't find anything else. The silence stretches. The rain drums against the window, a soft, insistent percussion like fingers tapping on a coffin lid. Vaughan smiles. It is not a warm smile. It is not a cold smile. It is the smile of a man who has just confirmed a suspicion he has held for some time and found the confirmation amusing. Vaughan. You have a vivid imagination, Mr. Bond. It will serve you well in academia. He lays down his cards. Full house, kings over eights. The cards lie on the baize like a verdict. Vaughan's fingers rest beside them, relaxed, unhurried. Vaughan. Read and weep. Bond folds. He does not weep. He does not sigh. He simply gathers his cards, the pair of queens, the jack, the 10, the 7, and places them face down in a neat stack. Bond. Good hand. Vaughan collecting the pot, his fingers moving with mechanical precision. The best hand, as always. He stacks his chips. The ivory discs click against each other, a small, busy sound, like a swarm of insects feeding. Bond, standing. Thank you for the game, Professor. Vaughan, not looking up. Thank you for the company, Mr. Bond. It's not often I meet a student who can lose so gracefully. Bond. I haven't lost yet. Vaughan stops, looks up. His pale green eyes meet Bond's. Vaughan. No, he says softly. I suppose you haven't. Interior senior, common room, hallway, later. The corridor outside the senior common room is a canyon of shadow and stone. The walls are panelled in dark oak, interrupted at intervals by marble busts of former masters, men with high foreheads and blank eyes, their names forgotten by all but the plaques at their feet. The floor is black and white marble, worn into shallow depressions by a century and a half of footsteps. The only light comes from a single gas lamp at the far end, a relic of an earlier age, converted to electricity, but still shaped like a Victorian street lamp. It casts a pool of weak, yellowish light that barely reaches the middle of the corridor. Bond leans against the wall, half hidden in shadow. His hands are in his pockets. His cigarette glows in the darkness, a small orange ember like a distant star. The smoke curls upward, disappearing into the vaulted ceiling. The door to the senior common room opens. Vaughan emerges. He is alone now. The smoking jacket is buttoned. The signet ring gleams on his finger. His hair is still immaculate. He stops when he sees Bond. The two men stand perhaps 10 feet apart, Bond in shadow, Vaughan in the uncertain light between the gas lamp and the door. Vaughan. Waiting for someone, Mr. Bond. His voice is unhurried, amused, as if he has been expecting this. Bond, straightening up, his cigarette still burning between his fingers. You. Vaughan takes a step forward. His shoes, black Oxfords, polished to a mirror shine, make no sound on the marble. He has learned to walk silently, Bond notes, like a man who has had reason to move unnoticed. Vaughan lighting his own cigarette, a Turkish brand, expensive, the paper dark. Flattering, but I'm not in the habit of being interviewed by undergraduates. Bond. This isn't an interview. He takes a step forward. Now he is closer to the light. Vaughan can see his face, the hard jaw, the pale eyes, the set of his mouth. Bond. It's a warning. Vaughan pauses. The match in his hand burns down to his fingers. He does not flinch. He drops it, a small, dying star falling to the marble floor. Vaughan. A warning. He says the word as if tasting it, turning it over on his tongue, examining its T exterioria. Vaughan. From a boy who types footnotes for a woman who should have retired a decade ago. I'm fascinated. He takes a long drag from his cigarette. The smoke exits his nostrils in two thin streams, like a dragon breathing slowly, deliberately. Vaughan. Proceed. Bond steps closer. Close enough to smell Vaughan's cologne, sandalwood and old money, the scent of a man who has never had to apologize for anything. Close enough to see the small, broken capillaries around his nose, the mark of a man who drinks too much and sleeps too little. Bond, quiet, almost friendly. Professor Edwards is under my protection. If anything happens to her, an accident, a disappearance, a withdrawal for personal reasons, I will find out who arranged it. He pauses, takes a drag from his own cigarette, exhales. The smoke mingles with Vaughan's, twisting together before it rises. Bond. And I will make sure they regret it. Vaughan laughs. It is a short, dry sound like a match striking a damp box. There is no humor in it. There is no warmth. It is the laugh of a man who has heard threats before from better men than Bond and is still standing. Vaughan. You, a student, a boy who can't even afford cufflinks that fit. Bond not smiling, not blinking, not moving. I'm not a student, Professor Vaughan. He waits, the silence stretches. Bond. And you know that. The words hang in the air between them. Vaughan's smile fades. His pale green eyes narrow, not in anger, but in calculation. He is reassessing, recalibrating. Vaughan, quietly, his voice stripped of its usual amusement. You're playing a dangerous game, Mr. Bond. Do you know the rules? Bond. Enlighten me. Vaughan takes a long drag from his cigarette. The tip glows bright orange, a small beacon in the darkness. Vaughan, exhaling, the smoke curling toward the ceiling like a ghost, escaping its body. The rules are simple. He steps closer. Now he is within arm's reach of Bond, close enough to touch, close enough to kill. Vaughan. There are no rules. He tilts his head, a small bird-like gesture. Vaughan. There are only consequences, and the people who survive are the ones who understand that consequences are just stories we tell ourselves to feel better about the things we've done. He flicks his cigarette into a stone basin by the door. It hisses, dies. Vaughan, turning his back to Bond now, his voice carrying over his shoulder. Good night, Mr. Bond. I suspect we'll meet again. He walks away. His footsteps echo, click, 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 a slow, deliberate rhythm like a man who has all the time in the world. Bond watches him go. He does not move until the sound has faded completely. He looks down at his own cigarette. It has burned down to the filter. He drops it, grinds it beneath his heel. Bond, voiceover, soft, almost to himself. I came to the senior common room to find an enemy. He looks up. The gas lamp flickers. The busts of dead masters watch him with their blank stone eyes. Bond, voiceover. I found a mirror. Interior Bond's college room, night. The room is small, smaller than the corridor, smaller than the common room, but it is his. The desk faces the window. The window faces the brick wall, 3 feet of damp, stained brick, the mortar crumbling between the courses. A single iron pipe runs down the center of the wall. It drips, drip, drip, drip. A slow, a rhythmic percussion like a dying heart. The bed is made military corners, the blanket tucked so tight a coin could bounce on it. The wardrobe is closed. The sink is clean. There is nothing out of place. Bond sits at the desk. The photograph of Professor Edwards is still propped against the lamp, the green glass shade casting her face in a sickly, underwater light. He has not turned it face down. Beside it, a new photograph, the one he took from the archive. The four young men in gowns, standing in front of the library. One is laughing, one is not. The one who is not laughing is the man who will one day be M. Bond studies the photograph for a long time. His finger traces the edge of the paper, the slight curl, the fading silver of the emulsion. He does not hear the knock at first. Then it comes again. 2 raps, a pause, a third. Not Vaughan, not M. Cat, through the door, her voice soft, muffled by the wood. "James, it's me." He opens the door. She stands in the corridor. Her dark hair is loose, falling over her shoulders in soft, uneven waves. She wears her oversized cardigan, a faded thing of indeterminate color, the cuffs frayed, the buttons mismatched. Beneath it, a simple cotton nightgown, pale blue, her feet are bare. The stone floor must be cold, but she doesn't seem to notice. In one hand she holds a bottle of wine, a cheap Bordeaux, the label torn. In the other, 2 mismatched glasses, one cut crystal, one plain tumbler. Cat. I couldn't sleep. She looks past him into the room. The desk, the photograph, the gun cleaning kit on the bedside table, the parts of a Beretta 418, disassembled, oiled, waiting. A small weapon. A woman's gun, some would say. But Bond didn't care. It fit in his palm. It was his. She does not ask about them. Cat looking back at him, her grey eyes pale in the darkness. And I thought, maybe you couldn't either. He steps aside, she enters. She puts the wine on the desk. The bottle clinks against the lamp. She doesn't seem to notice. She fills both glasses, the crystal for him, the tumbler for herself. The wine is dark, almost black in the low light. She hands him his glass. Their fingers brush. She does not pull away. Cat. To insomnia. She raises her glass. He raises his. Cat. And the people who share it. They drink. The wine is cheap, thin, slightly bitter, with a faint aftertaste of cork. It doesn't matter. Interior Bond's college room later. They come through the door. No empty glasses before, no slow build-up. He pushes her against the door, his mouth on hers. His hands in her hair, harder than last time, not tender. She bumps against the doorframe. It hurts. She says nothing. Cat, breathless. James. He doesn't answer. He pulls her sweater over her head. The fabric drags against her ears. She lets it happen. He is not rough. But he is no longer the man who touched her so carefully the first time, as if afraid of breaking something. This time he has no fear. She is naked beneath him before she can ask. Her skin is cold from the night air. His hands are hot. The contrast is almost painful. He does not kiss her mouth. He kisses her neck, her shoulder. The place behind her ear where the skin is thin and the pulse beats. His teeth, just for a moment, a small pain that quickly fades. She inhales sharply, then deeper. He pushes her toward the bed, not gently, not violently, efficiently. He has a goal. He wants her, not her words, not her thoughts. Her body, she falls onto the mattress, the bed creaks. She laughs short, a surprised sound. He covers her mouth with his hand, not hard, but there. Bond, whispering without smiling. Don't laugh. She looks at him. Her grey eyes are wide. She is not afraid. She is awake. Cat under his hand, muffled. Then do something that isn't funny. He does. This time is different. The other times he was considerate, asked, unsure if he was going too far. This time he doesn't ask. He takes her from behind. Her hands grip the pillow. Her face is turned to the side. He sees her cheek, her open mouth, one eye watching him. He thrusts, not gently, firmly. The rhythm is fast, steady, relentless. She bites into the pillow. A muffled sound, not pain, not only pleasure. Something in between. She pushes back against him. That surprises him. For a moment he hesitates. Then he becomes even harder. He forgets where he is, forgets her name, Forgets that she is not a tool, not a means to an end, not a release for the pressure that has built up inside him since the poker game with Vaughan, since the photographs, since the certainty that Edwards must die. He is not a lover now. He is an animal, a hungry, desperate animal taking something it does not deserve. And she takes it. She takes everything he gives. She does not ask for gentleness. She does not demand consideration. She wants him as he is, not the student, not the assistant, the man beneath. When he comes, he makes a sound, not his name, not hers, a sound like pain, like release, like something trapped too long breaking free. He falls beside her. The bed springs. They lie next to each other. Neither speaks, sweat, sheets, the soft whistle of his breath. She turns her head, looks at him. Her face is flushed. Her lips are swollen. Her hair is a wild mess on the pillow. She smiles, not wide, not happy, satisfied, like a cat that has caught a mouse but does not kill it, only watches. Cat, hoarse but calm. There you are. He doesn't answer. He reaches for his cigarettes. She sits up. The blanket falls from her shoulders. She kisses his shoulder where the muscle connects. A small kiss, almost tender, almost like a reward. Cat. I liked that. Bond, smoking, not looking at her. That wasn't me. Cat. Yes, it was. That was exactly you. Pause. He blows smoke at the ceiling, watches it disappear. Cat, quietly. And I'm not going to leave you because of it, in case you thought that. He turns his head, looks at her. For the first time that night, he really sees her. Bond. You should. Cat. I know. She stays. Interior Bond's college room later, after sex, before dawn. The room smells of sex and smoke and the faint, metallic tang of gun oil from the bedside table. Cat lies on her stomach, her dark hair spread across the pillow. The sheet is pulled up to her waist, leaving her back bare. She rolls over, looks at the desk, at the photographs, at the gun. Cat. I saw your photographs, James. He doesn't move, doesn't flinch. Cat. On your desk, the woman, the old photograph of the four men, the gun. He takes a slow drag, exhales, Bond, quietly. You shouldn't have looked. Cat propping herself up on her elbows, the sheet slipping, her bare shoulder visible. You shouldn't have left them out. He turns now, looks at her. His eyes are pale in the half-dark. Bond. I didn't leave them out. You went through my things. Cat. Your things were on the desk, in plain sight. I didn't have to go through anything. A pause, the pipe outside drips. Cat, her voice softer now. Who is she? The woman in the photograph. Bond, after a long silence. My professor. Cat. The one whose thesis you're typing. Bond. Yes. Cat. Why do you have her picture on your desk? You're not her lover, I can tell. You look at her like she's already gone. Bond stubs out his cigarette. Bond, turning to face her fully. You want to know who she is? Fine. He leans forward. His face is close to hers, close enough to kiss, close enough to kill. Bond. She's a historian. She's writing a book about things that were never meant to be written about. And there are people, powerful people, who would rather see her dead than see that book published. Cat doesn't look away. Cat. And you, what are you to her? Bond. I'm the person who makes sure she stays alive long enough to finish it. Cat. You're her bodyguard. Bond. I'm her research assistant. The bodyguard part is unofficial. Cat reaches out. Her fingers touch his cheek. Cat. And the photographs. The four men in gowns. The one who isn't laughing. Bond takes her wrist. Not hard, not painful, just stopping her. Bond, his voice dropping lower, harder. There are secrets in this world, Cat, that can never become public. Never. And the people who keep those secrets, they will do anything to protect them. Anything. He releases her wrist. She does not pull away. Bond. Poison, knives, accidents that look like heart attacks, friends who disappear and are never found. He looks at her. His eyes are cold now. Bond. Every means is permitted. Every method is justified. And anyone who gets too close. He doesn't finish. Cat is silent. The pipe drips. Cat quietly, her voice steady, though her hands tremble slightly. Are you warning me, James, or threatening me? Bond just as quietly. I'm trying to keep you alive. She looks at him, the scars, the gun oil on his fingers, the way he sits, poised, ready even now. Cat. Why? Bond. Why what? Cat. Why do you care if I live or die? We've known each other for, what, a few weeks. We've slept together 3 times. We've never even had breakfast. He reaches out, touches her face. His thumb brushes her cheekbone. Bond. Because you make me feel like I'm still human. And there aren't many people left who can do that. Cat closes her eyes, leans into his touch. Cat whispering. That's not an answer. Bond whispering back. It's the only one I have. Interior Bond's college room, moments later. She lies back down, her head is on his chest, her fingers trace slow circles on his stomach. Cat. I won't tell anyone what I saw, what you told me. She looks up at him. Cat. But I want you to promise me something. Bond. What? Cat. When this is over, when her thesis is done, when the dangerous people have moved on to someone else, I want you to come find me, not as a bodyguard, not as a spy, just as you. Bond is silent for a long time. Outside, the pipe drips. The moon drifts behind a cloud. Bond, finally, his voice so quiet she almost misses it. I promise. She knows he is lying. She can hear it in his voice, the same flatness she has heard before, when he talks about the future, when he talks about tomorrow, when he talks about anything that isn't right now. But she decides to believe him anyway. Cat, closing her eyes. Good. She settles against him, her breathing slows. She is almost asleep when he speaks again. Bond into the darkness. Cat. Cat murmuring. Bond. Be careful, not just with what you saw, with what you know, with what you think you know. He looks down at her. Her eyes are closed. Her lips are slightly parted. Bond whispering. Some secrets are grave, and once you fall in, no one throws you a rope. She doesn't answer. She is already asleep. Bond stays awake. He watches the moonlight move across the ceiling. He listens to the pipe drip. He counts the hours until dawn, and he wonders for the first time in a long time if he has made a mistake. Not with Edwards, not with Vaughan, with Cat. Fade to black. The last sound, not the pipe, not the rain, just the soft, steady breathing of a woman who has trusted the wrong man, and a man who knows he will betray her. Chapter 4. The Professor's Secret. Fade in. The sound of rain, not the gentle rain of the previous nights. Harder now, angrier, as if the sky itself has learned what is happening beneath it. A clock strikes 7 in the morning. Then the sound of a door opening, a gasp, a body hitting the floor. Interior St. Anselm's College, south staircase, morning. The south staircase is the oldest in the college. Built in 1824, never renovated. The steps are worn into shallow bowls by 2 centuries of student feet. The iron railing is loose in its sockets. The walls are damp, the plaster peeling in long, curling strips like dead skin. At the bottom of the staircase lies David Ashworth. He is 19 years old, a second-year history student. Bond has spoken to him twice, once in the library, once in the dining hall. David wanted to be a journalist. He asked too many questions. He was friends with Timothy Preston. Now he lies at the bottom of the stairs. His neck is at an angle that necks should not achieve. His eyes are open. His glasses are broken, one lens shattered, the other still intact, reflecting the grey morning light like a small, accusing eye. A small crowd has gathered. Students in dressing gowns. A porter with a cup of tea that has gone cold. A don in a rumpled suit, his face the colour of old cheese. Dr. Marsh, the don, kneeling beside the body, his voice shaking. Someone call an ambulance. No, call the police. No, call someone, anyone. No one moves. They're all staring at David's neck. Bond arrives. He has been running. His hair is wet from the rain. He wears his dark overcoat over yesterday's clothes. He pushes through the crowd, stops at the edge of the circle. He looks at David's face, recognizes it, remembers the boys' laugh, too loud for the library, always shushed by the librarians. Remembers the way David waved at him across the dining hall as if they were friends, as if Bond were capable of having friends. David is not waving now. Bond, to the porter, quiet, controlled. What happened? Porter, his hands trembling around the cold teacup. Fell, must have. Stairs are treacherous in the wet. Always said they should replace the carpet. Bond. Was anyone with him? Porter. Found him at 6:30. One of the cleaning staff. She's in the kitchen now. Won't stop crying. Bond looks at the stairs. The carpet is worn, yes. The railing is loose, but David was not clumsy. David walked these stairs every day for 2 years. He knew where the loose step was. He knew to hold the railing. Bond, looking at the Don. Was he drunk? Dr. Marsh, still staring at the body. I don't know. He might have been. Students drink. It's not impossible. Bond. Were there witnesses? No one answers. Bond kneels beside the body, close enough to see the bruise on David's temple, not from the fall, from something else. Something that hit him before he fell. He stands, says nothing. Bond, voiceover, soft, cold. Timothy Preston disappeared. David Ashworth falls downstairs. 2 students, both connected to Edwards. Both asking questions about the same thing, the missing years. The men who ran the world from the shadows. The men who are still running it. He looks at the crowd, sees their faces. Fear, confusion, the beginnings of a story they will tell themselves to feel safe, an accident, a tragedy, nothing more. Bond, voiceover. They don't know yet. They think the world is safe. They think accidents are accidents. They think the people in charge have their best interests at heart. He turns, walks away. The crowd parts for him without knowing why. Bond, voiceover. Fools. Interior Professor, Edwards' office, morning. The office is colder than usual. The radiator has been off all night. Edwards sits behind her desk, wrapped in a cardigan that is too thin for the weather. Her face is pale. Her hands are still. Bond stands by the window. The rain streaks the glass. The stained glass book and lamp are darkened by the grey light. Edwards. David Ashworth. I had him in my seminar last term. He wrote a paper on the Suez crisis. It was provocative. Bond. Provocative how? Edwards pausing, choosing her words. He suggested that the British withdrawal was not a failure of military planning, but a compromise, arranged by intelligence services to protect certain assets. He had sources, unconventional sources. Bond. Timothy Preston was helping him. Edwards looks up. Her eyes are tired. Edwards. How do you know that? Bond. Timothy's file, in the archive, the one that isn't supposed to exist. She is silent for a long moment. Then she opens a drawer, removes a key, old brass, heavy, the same kind Bond used to enter her office the first time. Edwards. There's a room in the basement, not the archive you found. Another one, deeper. The college doesn't know it exists. The university doesn't know. Only the people who built it and the people they want to forget. She places the key on the desk. It lands with a dull thud. Edwards. You wanted to know what Timothy found, what David was writing about, what I'm trying to expose. She looks at him. Her pale eyes are hard now, not afraid, resigned. Edwards. Go down there, Mr. Bond, and then come back and tell me I'm wrong to want the truth. He takes the key. It is cold in his hand, heavier than it looks. Bond. And if you're not wrong. Edwards almost smiling, but there is no joy in it. Then you'll understand why I'm already dead. I just haven't stopped breathing yet. Interior college basement, sub-level 4, late morning. The key opens a door that does not appear on any floor plan. It is hidden behind a fuse box, behind a false wall, behind decades of dust and deliberate neglect. The room beyond is not large, perhaps 15 feet by 15. The walls are bare concrete, stained with old water damage. The floor is dirt, packed earth, hard as stone. In the center of the room, a desk, oak, heavy, the same kind as in the senior common room. On the desk, a single lamp, green shade. The same kind as in the annex. But the lamp is not what matters. What matters is the wall. The wall is covered in photographs, dozens of them, hundreds, arranged in rows, in columns, in a grid that spans from floor to ceiling. Faces, young men, young women, all in academic dress, all smiling, all annotated with names and dates and a single, chilling final notation. Withdrawn, personal reasons. Discontinued studies, family emergency. Deceased, accident. No longer enrolled. Bond steps closer, recognizes some of the faces. A boy who sat next to him in a lecture on European history, a girl who served him coffee in the dining hall, a young man who borrowed his pen in the library and returned it with a smile. Bond, whispering to himself. How many? He starts counting, stops at 47. 47 students, 47 lives, 47 accidents, disappearances, personal reasons. He finds Timothy's photograph, near the top. A recent addition. The date is 3 weeks ago. He finds David's, not yet annotated. The photo is still fresh, but the space beside it is waiting. Bond, voiceover. They don't kill everyone. That would attract attention. They just remove a push down the stairs, a car that won't start, a door that locks from the outside. Nothing that looks like murder. Everything that feels like bad luck. He turns. There is another wall, this one covered in documents, letters, telegrams, photocopies of memos, signatures, official stamps from departments that no longer exist. He reads one. A memo dated 1956, marked top secret, eyes only. Subject, Operation Remington. The student identified as redacted has been successfully neutralized. No further action required. File closed. Another, 1962. Subject, the Cambridge Network. The following individuals are to be considered hostile. Recommended action, administrative separation, mental health evaluation, no physical contact unless approved. Another, 1971. Subject, Professor Elena Edwards, first-year tutor, has begun asking questions about the Alumni Association. Monitor closely. Recommend termination of employment if questions persist. Bond reads it twice, then a third time. Recommend termination of employment. Not murder, not yet, just removal, the same word they used for Timothy, for David, for the 47. Bond, voiceover, cold, quiet. Edwards wasn't the first. She won't be the last. She's just the one who got too close. And the ones who get too close. He touches the photograph of a young woman, 1968. Dark hair, dark eyes, a smile that seems to look directly at him across 50 years. Deceased, accident, drowning. Bond, voiceover. It don't survive. Interior Professor, Edwards' office, afternoon. Bond returns the key. He places it on her desk. She does not pick it up. Edwards. How many? Bond. 47, that I could see. There may be more. Edwards, nodding, as if she expected this. 47, and no one knows. No one asks. No one wonders why so many students leave Cambridge and never finish their degrees. Why so many bright young people suddenly decide that academia isn't for them. Bond. Because they don't decide. Someone decides for them. She looks up at him. Her eyes are wet, but she is not crying. She is past crying. Edwards. David Ashworth, was he? Bond. Pushed. I saw the bruise on his temple. Someone hit him before he fell. Not hard enough to kill. Hard enough to make him lose his balance. She closes her eyes. Edwards. David was 20 years old. He wanted to change the world. He thought the truth would set people free. Bond. The truth doesn't set anyone free. It just makes them targets. She opens her eyes, looks at him, really looks, Edwards. How old are you, Mr. Bond? Bond. 20. Edwards, almost smiling. 20 years old, and already you talk like a man who has given up. Bond. I haven't given up. I've just stopped lying to myself. She nods, slowly, as if she understands something she did not understand before. Edwards. The thesis is almost finished. Another week, perhaps 2, then I will publish it, and then... She gestures vaguely at the window, at the rain, at the world beyond. Edwards. Then they will do to me what they did to Timothy, to David, to the 47. Bond. Perhaps. Edwards. Will you stop them? He is silent for a long moment. The rain drums against the glass. The stained glass book and lamp seem darker now, as if the light behind them is failing. Bond. I can't stop them. I can only delay them. Edwards. That's not an answer. Bond. It's the only one I have. She looks at him. He looks at her. Something passes between them, not trust, not friendship, but understanding. The understanding of two people who have seen the same darkness and know that neither can save the other. Edwards, quietly. Be careful, Mr. Bond. Not for my sake, for yours. Bond. I'm always careful. Edwards. No, you're not. You're reckless. That's why I trust you. She turns back to her desk, takes up her pen, begins to write. Bond watches her for a moment, then he leaves, exterior, college courtyard, afternoon. The rain has stopped. The clouds are still low, still grey, but there is a thin line of pale light on the horizon. Bond stands by the fountain in the centre of the courtyard. The water is black, reflecting the sky. He lights a cigarette. His hands are steady. Bond, voiceover. 47 students. A professor who knows she is already dead. A man named Vaughan who plays poker with secrets and smiles when he wins. And me, a boy who types footnotes and pretends he's not a weapon. He exhales. The smoke rises, mingles with the mist. Bond, voiceover. Edwards thinks I'm reckless. She's right. But reckless isn't the same as careless. Reckless means I know the danger and I don't care. He looks up at the sky. The thin line of light is fading. The clouds are closing in again. Bond, voiceover. Careless means I don't see it at all, and I see everything. He drops the cigarette, grinds it beneath his heel. Bond, voiceover. I see 47 Grave without headstones. I see a professor who will soon be number 48, and I see the man who will put her there. He walks away. His footsteps are silent on the wet stones. The fountain bubbles, the water is black, the sky is grey, and somewhere in the basement a wall of faces waits for the next photograph, fade to black. The last sound, the fountain, the rain beginning again, and the soft, distant tolling of a bell 5 o'clock, or 6, or the hour when the living begin to forget the dead. Chapter 5. The Wall of Secrets. Fade in. The sound of a door closing, heavy, soundproof. Then the hum of fluorescent lights. The smell of old paper and dust, and something else, something metallic, like old blood. Interior my 6 headquarters, Century House, the wall night. The room does not appear on any floor plan. It is hidden behind a false wall in the sub-basement, accessible only through a door that requires 3 keys and a Palm PR interior. The ceiling is low. The walls are concrete, painted a grey so dark it is almost black. And on the far wall, the wall that faces you as you enter, there is a board. It is not a bulletin board. It is not a cork board. It is a wall of death, 4 feet high, 12 feet wide. Covered in photographs, documents, red string, pushpins, handwritten notes. A conspiracy theorist's dream, an intelligence officer's nightmare. M stands before it. He is alone. His hands are clasped behind his back. His face is unreadable. M, voiceover, quiet, tired. This is where we keep the secrets we cannot act upon, the crimes we cannot punish, the deaths we cannot avenge. It is the most honest room in Century House, and the most useless. He reaches out, touches a photograph. Section 1, the 47, 1945, 1972. The first section of the wall is the largest. 47 photographs, 47 names, 47 dates, arranged in chronological order from 1945 to 1972. Each photograph shows a face, young, hopeful, alive. Each photograph is marked with a red stamp, closed, no further action. M, voiceover. These are the ones who asked questions. Students, journalists, junior diplomats, people who stumbled onto things they were not meant to see, people who thought the truth would protect them. He moves his finger along the row, stops at a photograph from 1956. A young man, dark hair, dark eyes, a smile that does not reach the camera. M. Thomas Merrick, third-year history student, asked about Operation Remington, drowned in the Cam. November 1956, ruled accidental. He moves to another, 1961, a woman, red hair, freckles, glasses, M. Sarah Collins, research assistant to a defense correspondent, found documents about the Zircon affair, car accident on the A1. February 1961, ruled accidental. Another, 1964, a man in academic robes, bearded, intense, M. Dr. Julian Cross, lecturer in international relations, planned to publish a paper on the true exteriorant of the Cambridge spy ring. Heart attack in his study. October 1964, ruled natural causes. M, turning to face the wall, his voice cold. 47, all ruled accidental, all ruled natural causes, all ruled suicide, not one murder investigation, not one arrest, not one admission of responsibility. Section 2, the cleaners who did the killing. The second section is smaller, fewer photographs, But the photographs here are different, not of the victims, but of the killers. M. We do not know all their names, but we know their methods. We know their signatures. He points to the first, a man in military uniform. The face is blurred, the only photograph in existence, taken from 50 meters away through a telephoto lens. M. Subject B7, real name, unknown, code names, Carter, the accountant, the cleaner, former SAS, disappeared from official records in 1973, believed to be responsible for at least 12 deaths, including Timothy Preston and David Ashworth. He moves to the next. A woman, elegant, grey hair, expensive clothes. Her photograph is sharp. She has been photographed many times but never arrested. M. Subject B3. Real name, Lady Margaret Hastings. Widow, socialite, philanthropist, also poison specialist. Believed responsible for 7 deaths between 1958 and 1969. Victims died of heart attacks, strokes, respiratory failure, all natural causes, all poison. Another, a man in a dark suit, no distinguishing features, a face you would forget the moment you looked away. M. Subject B9, real name, unknown, no known photograph, no known alias. Specializes in accidents, falls, drownings, fires. Believed responsible for at least 20 deaths, never identified, never stopped. M. Stepping back. These are the tools, the weapons, the ones who do the work. They are not the ones who give the orders. They are simply efficient. Section 3. The orchestrators who gave the orders. The third section is the smallest, only 4 photographs, but these faces are not blurred. These faces are known. They are powerful. They are untouchable. M. His voice dropping. These are the ones who decide who lives and who dies. They do not get their hands dirty. They do not leave traces. They do not lose sleep. He touches the first photograph. An old man, white hair, a face like a bulldog, decorated, respected. M. Sir Kenneth Whitmore, former deputy chief of MI6, retired 1965, believed to have ordered at least 15 of the killings on this wall, including the elimination of Dr. Julian Cross in 1964, never charged, never questioned, never even suspected by the outside world. He moves to the second. A woman, severe, grey suit, glasses, looks like a headmistress. M. Dame Helen Crossley, former Director of Intelligence Coordination, retired 1970, believed to have created the B system, the network of unofficial assets who perform off-book eliminations. She is still alive, still powerful, still untouchable. The third, a man Bond would recognize, silver hair, pale green eyes, a face that belongs on a coin. M. Professor Alastair Vaughan, former intelligence officer, retired 1975, currently a lecturer at St. Anselm's College, Cambridge, believed responsible for the deaths of Timothy Preston and David Ashworth, also believed responsible for the silencing of at least 8 other students between 1968 and 1972. M. Pausing, his finger hovering over the photograph. Vaughan is unique among this group. He did not just give orders, he participated. He was present at the college. He watched his victims. He taught them. He smiled at them. And then he had them killed. The fourth photograph, a man, younger than the others, dark hair, sharp features, a face that is not yet lined by age. M. Quietly. Subject, unknown, believed to be the son of Sir Kenneth Whitmore, educated at Cambridge, recruited into the network in 1970, responsible for at least 3 killings, identity not confirmed, location not known. He is the next generation. He is what comes after the old guard retires. M. Turning away from the wall. They are all untouchable, not because they are invisible, because the people who could touch them, the people in this building, are the same people who gave them their authority. We are hunting ourselves, and we have no stomach for the kill. Section 4. The footnotes, my 6 involvement. The 4th section is not on the wall, it is in Muzz's head. He has never written it down, he has never spoken it aloud, but he knows it is true. M. Voiceover, barely a whisper. Did MI6 kill some of them? Yes, not directly, but through inaction, through cover-ups, through the deliberate destruction of evidence. He thinks of the file on his desk, the one marked Orion Destroy. M. In 1957, a young woman named Elizabeth Morrow came to us. She had evidence that a former MI6 officer was selling secrets to the Soviets. We told her to go to the police. She did. The police called us. We told them it was a misunderstanding. The officer was never investigated. Elizabeth Morrow was found dead 3 weeks later. Drowning. Accidental. He closes his eyes. M. In 1963, a journalist named Michael Penrose published an article about the missing students of Cambridge. He had names, dates, testimonies. The article was suppressed. The newspaper was bought. Michael Penrose was offered a job in public relations, far from journalism. He took it. He never wrote another investigation. He opens his eyes, looks at the wall. M. We did not pull the trigger. We did not push them down the stairs. We did not hold the pillow over their faces. But we are still responsible. We chose to look away. We chose to protect our own. We chose the institution over the truth. He turns, walks to the door. M. This is the legacy of the service. Not the victories, the silences, the bodies we pretended not to see, the students we abandoned, the professors we let die. He pauses at the door, his hand on the handle. M. James Bond does not know about this room. He knows about the wall of faces in Cambridge. He knows about Timothy and David, but he does not know how deep it goes. He does not know that his own employers are complicit. He opens the door. M. One day he will find out, and on that day we will lose him, not to death, to contempt. He leaves, the door closes, the wall of secrets remains, fade to black. The last sound, not footsteps, not a door. Just the faint hum of fluorescent lights, keeping watch over 47 faces, 4 killers, and a truth that will never be spoken aloud. Chapter 6. The View from the River. Fade in. The sound of the Thames, dark water lapping against stone, a foghorn in the distance, low, mournful, like a warning. Then footsteps on concrete, a door opening, the hum of fluorescent lights. Exterior, London, Victoria Embankment, night. The Thames is black at night, not the black of absence, but the black of secrets, deep, ancient, indifferent. The water moves slowly, carrying nothing, revealing nothing. Street lamps reflect off its surface like dying stars. A car pulls up, a black Humber Super Snipe. No markings, no plates that trace back to anything real. M sits in the back seat. He is not yet M in name, but he has been M in everything that matters for 20 years. Beside him, Admiral Sir Miles Brandon, retired. Not retired. The distinction is meaningless in this world. His face is weathered, his hands spotted with age, but his eyes are the same pale blue they were when he ran submarines during the war. He does not blink often. Brandon. This is a mistake. Bringing him in. The boy is barely out of short trousers. M, not looking at him. He's 20 years old. He's been running operations for 18 months. He's never failed. Brandon. Failed. He's never faced a real test. Watching a professor drink tea and type footnotes is not an operation. It's babysitting. M turns his head, looks at Brandon. His face is unreadable. M. A student is dead. Another has disappeared. This is not babysitting. This is war. The car stops. The driver cuts the engine. The only sound is the Thames lapping against the embankment wall. Brandon. War is what we call it when we're losing. When we're winning, we call it progress. He opens the door, steps out into the cold. Interior My 6 headquarters, Century House, night. The building does not look like a secret headquarters. It looks like a forgotten relic, a Victorian warehouse on the banks of the Thames, its windows dark, its walls stained by decades of fog and exhaust. Inside, it is different. Corridors of polished concrete, fluorescent lights that hum in a frequency just below hearing, the smell of cleaning fluid and old paper and something else, something metallic, like the inside of a gun. Em and Brandon walk side by side. Their footsteps echo. They do not speak. They pass through a series of doors, each requiring a different key, a different code, a different gesture. The final door is steel, unmarked, and opens only to Muz Palm PR interior. Interior conference room, Century House, night. The room is small, windowless, a table of dark wood polished to a mirror shine. 6 chairs, 3 of them are occupied. Chief of staff, a woman in her 40s, her hair pulled back so tightly it stretches the skin at her temples. Her name is Margaret Maggie Thornton, no relation to the brigadier. She wears a grey suit, a white blouse, no jewelry. Her hands are folded on the table in front of her. Deputy Director, Operations, a man named Sir Alistair Cornwallis, 60, bald, a face like a clenched fist. He has not smiled in 30 years. No one has asked him why. Legal advisor, a woman named Elena Fane, not a coincidence. She is no relation to the professor, but the name makes M pause every time. She is 55, sharp, precise, dressed in black. She carries a briefcase that contains nothing she will show them. M takes his seat at the head of the table. Brandon sits to his right. The other 3 face them. M. The situation at St. Anselm's College has deteriorated. 2 students are dead. A 3rd is missing. The professor is unaware of our involvement, but that will not last. The question before us is simple. Do we continue the operation, or do we terminate it? Cornwallis, without preamble. Define, terminate. M. Terminate the mission. Withdraw bond. Erase the file. Let Edwards finish her thesis and face the consequences on her own. Brandon, leaning forward. The consequences are that she publishes. And if she publishes, names are named. And if names are named... Fane, interrupting, her voice cool, legal. Then the service faces exposure, civil litigation, potentially criminal charges. I've reviewed the material Bond has sent. The wall of faces alone would be enough to trigger a parliamentary inquiry. M. Thank you, Elena. We're all aware of the risks. Thornton, the Chief of Staff, her voice flat. The first death, Timothy Preston, was listed as a withdrawal, personal reasons. The family accepted it. There was no investigation. M. And the second. Thornton. David Ashworth fell down a staircase. The coroner has not yet issued a verdict, but the preliminary report suggests accidental death. Bruising consistent with a fall. No witnesses. No evidence of foul play. Cornwallis, skeptical. No evidence, or no evidence that was looked for. Thornton. The Cambridge police are cooperative. They've been cooperative for 50 years. They know which questions to ask and which to leave unasked. M. quietly. Bond saw a bruise on Ashworth's temple. Before the fall, something hit him. Fane. Bond is not a forensic expert. He is a 20-year-old undergraduate with 18 months of field experience. His observations are not admissible. Brandon, angry now. This is not a court of law. This is a conference room. We are not here to decide guilt or innocence. We are here to decide whether a useful asset continues to be useful. Thornton, looking at Brandon. Useful for what? The mission was surveillance. Protect Edwards, monitor her sources, ensure the thesis does not expose classified material. Bond has done all of that, but now there are bodies. And if there are bodies, there are questions. And if there are questions, Fane again. Then someone will eventually ask why a student named James Bond was inserted into Edward's research team 3 months before Timothy Preston disappeared. The room goes quiet. Cornwallis slowly. Are you suggesting that Bond is a suspect? Fane. I'm suggesting that if a competent investigator reviewed the timeline, they might find it coincidental. And I do not like coincidences. They are the enemy of deniability. Steepling his fingers, looking at the center of the table. Bond did not kill Preston. Bond did not kill Ashworth. He was in London when Preston disappeared. He was in his room when Ashworth fell. Fane. Do you have proof of that? I have my word. No one speaks. In this room, in this world, Muzz's word is proof. Brandon, changing the subject, his voice calmer now. What about Vaughan? Alastair Vaughan. He is the one applying pressure. He is the one with the connections to the old guard. If anyone ordered those deaths, it was him. Thornton. Vaughan is untouchable. He retired from the service 15 years ago. He has no official connection to any active operation. His file is clean. His house is clean. His shoes are clean. Cornwallis. No one's shoes are that clean. Thornton. No, but proving that is another matter. Stands, walks to the far end of the room. There is a window there, not a real window, but a screen disguised as one, showing a live feed of the Thames. The water is black. The lights on the opposite bank are yellow, small, distant. Without turning. Bond is changing. I can hear it in his reports. The language is different, colder, more efficient. He used to write like a student, hesitant, uncertain. Now he writes like an operative, short sentences, precise observations, no emotion. Brandon. That's called training. He's learning. He's learning to kill, not with a weapon, with a sentence, a recommendation, a phone call. That is more dangerous. Fane. Dangerous for whom? Turns, looks at her. His face is unreadable, but his eyes are tired. For everyone, including us. Interior conference room, later. The discussion continues. The clock on the wall shows 11:47 p.m. The meeting has been going for 3 hours. Cornwallis. If we withdraw Bond, Edwards will publish. If she publishes, Vaughan will retaliate. If Vaughan retaliates, there will be more deaths, possibly hers, certainly others. Fane. If we keep Bond in place, we are complicit in whatever happens next. If Ashworth's death was murder, and I'm not saying it was, then we are accessories after the fact. Brandon, slamming his hand on the table, the first time he has lost his temper. We are not accessories to anything. We are the people who keep this country safe, safe from enemies who would destroy it, safe from secrets that would bring down the government, safe from the truth if the truth is dangerous enough. Thornton, quietly. That's a very old argument, Miles. It was wrong in 1956. It's wrong now. Brandon. 1956 was a different war. Thornton. It's always a different war, and we always use the same excuse. Raises his hand. The room falls silent. We are not going to withdraw bond. Not yet. The thesis is days from completion. Once it is published, the information is out of our control and out of Vaughan's. Edwards will be safe, because killing her will only confirm what she has written. Fane. And if Vaughan kills her before publicaten. Cold. Then Bond will have to decide what kind of operative he wants to be. Cornwallis. What kind of operative is that? The kind who watches someone die and does nothing, or the kind who intervenes and becomes a target himself. The room is silent. The Thames laps against the embankment wall. Somewhere in the distance, a bell strikes midnight. Thornton, quietly. You're asking a 20-year-old to choose between his humanity and his duty. No, I'm asking him to do what we've all done. I'm asking him to grow up. Interior Muzz office, Century House, later. The conference room empties. The others leave, Brandon to his club, Cornwallis to his wife, Fane to whatever dark corner she inhabits when she is not advising on matters of life and death. Sits alone in his office. It is small, windowless, a desk, a lamp, a photograph of a woman who died 20 years ago, his wife, though no one knows that. There is a knock at the door. Enter. Thornton steps inside. She closes the door behind her. Thornton. You're going to let him kill her. Does not look up. I'm not going to let him do anything. He will make his own choice. Thornton. He's 20 years old. He's been trained to follow orders. If you don't give him an order, he will assume that silence is permission. Looks up now. His face is pale in the lamplight. And what would you have me do? Order him to protect her? Order him to let her die? Either way, I'm making him into something he doesn't want to become. Thornton, sitting across from him. Then tell him the truth. Tell him about the wall, about the 47, about the people who ordered those deaths and the people who looked the other way. If I tell him, he will hate us. Thornton. He will hate us anyway. When he finds out, and he will find out, he will know that we knew, and he will never forgive us. Is silent. The lamp hums. The photograph of his wife stares at him from the corner of the desk. Quietly. I stopped asking for forgiveness a long time ago. I ask only for results. Thornton, standing. Then you will get results, but you will lose the boy, and one day you will need the man he could have become. She leaves, the door closes. Sits alone in the silence. To himself, barely a whisper. I've already lost him. I just haven't told him yet. Interior Bond's college room, Cambridge, same night. Bond sits at his desk. The photographs are still covered. The room is dark. The pipe drips. He is not sleeping. He has not slept for 3 days. His phone rings. A secure line. He knows the number. Bond answering. Yes. Distant, his voice crackling with static. The mission continues. Edwards publishes. We protect her until then. After that. Bond. After that, she's on her own. After that, we have other priorities. Bond is silent. The pipe drips. Bond. David Ashworth. Was he murdered? After a long pause. What do you think? Bond. I think he was pushed. I think the same person who pushed him will push Edwards when the time comes. And I think you know who that person is. Knowing and proving are different things. Bond. I'm not asking you to prove it. I'm asking you to tell me the truth. The line is silent. For a moment, Bond thinks has hung up. Then. The The truth is that we are fighting a war. In wars, people die. Sometimes the wrong people, sometimes the innocent. But the war continues, and we continue, because if we stop, someone worse takes our place. Bond cold. That's not an answer. M. It's the only one I have. M hangs up. Bond stares at the phone. Then he puts it down. Then he picks up a photograph from under the cloth, Edwards, standing in front of the library, her grey hair blowing in the wind. He looks at her face for a long time. Bond, voiceover, barely a whisper. She trusted me. She thinks I'm a student. She thinks I'm helping her. She doesn't know that I'm the one who will have to decide whether she lives or dies. He puts the photograph down, covers it again. Bond, voiceover. And the worst part is, I don't know which choice I'll make. Interior Bond's college room, Cambridge, night. Bond places the receiver down. The call with M is over. The decision has been made. The mission continues. Edwards will die, perhaps by Bond's hand, perhaps by another's. He stands, walks to the window. The alley below is dark. The street lamp opposite flickers, a sick yellow light that barely reaches the puddle beneath it. Then he sees it, a shadow, on the wall opposite. A silhouette that moves, not like a drunkard, not like a student. A man who knows how to hide in darkness. But a man who does not know that Bond has seen him. Bond freezes. His hand moves to the drawer of his bedside table. The Beretta 418 lies there, loaded, unfastened, ready. Bond, voiceover, low, tense. They're not sending another cleaner. They're sending a hunter. Vaughan doesn't want to wait for Edwards to die. He wants me out of the way first. He takes the weapon. No second chance. No backup. Only the small Beretta, a lady's gun. The critics called it that is deadly in the right hand. He doesn't leave through the door. He leaves through the window. Exterior. College. Alley behind Bond's building, night. He lands softly in the bushes. Twigs scratch his face. He feels the pain, ignores it. His eyes adjust to the darkness. The shadow is still there. At the end of the alley, about 20 meters away. Bond crouches. Moves sideways, quiet, slow, every movement controlled. Bond, voiceover. No body armor, no backup, no exterior action plan, just a gun and the hope that I'm faster than him. The shadow moves, not toward Bond, toward the corner of the building. The man is circling, trying to cut off Bond's escape. Bond makes a decision. He won't run. He can't. If he runs, the man follows. If the man follows, he finds Edwards. If he finds Edwards before Bond can get to her. Bond, voiceover. The mission fails. She dies before the thesis is finished. And I die anyway because Vaughan won't leave witnesses. Bond stands, moves toward the shadow, exterior, college, south courtyard, night. The courtyard is empty. The fountain is dark. The moon is hidden behind clouds. Bond reaches the corner, peers around. The man is there, standing by the fountain, waiting. He is tall, broad shoulders, dark clothes, not a suit, not a uniform, a dark sweater, dark trousers, dark boots. His face is in shadow, but Bond sees his hands, large, calloused, the hands of a man who has done this before. Bond, to himself, barely a whisper. B7, the cleaner, Carter. The man turns, looks directly at Bond's corner. Carter, his voice low, calm, almost friendly. I know you're there, boy. You breathe too loud. Bond steps out from behind the corner. The Beretta is in his hand. His arm is exterior-ended. The sight is aimed at the center of Carter's chest. Bond. Take another step, and I'll shoot. Carter doesn't step, he laughs. A short, dry sound. Carter. You'll shoot with that. That's a toy, a woman's toy. Bond. It kills. Carter. So does a knife. So does a fist. So does a fall down the wrong stairs. He takes a step forward. Bond fires. The shot is loud, too loud in the quiet courtyard. The bullet hits Carter's shoulder, not the chest, the shoulder. Bond aimed for the chest. He missed because his hand was shaking. Bond, voiceover, furious at himself. Idiot, you idiot. You had one chance. Carter stumbles, grunts, but he doesn't fall. He touches his shoulder, looks at the blood on his fingers, then looks at Bond. Carter, his voice colder now. Now I'm angry. He lunges, exterior, college, south courtyard, continuous. The fight is not elegant, it is not choreographed. It is ugly, desperate, almost animal. Carter is bigger, stronger, experienced. He has killed before, many times. Bond is faster, younger, desperate. He has never fought for his life. Carter swings, Bond ducks. The fist glances off his forehead. Stars explode behind his eyes. He stumbles backward. The Beretta flies from his hand, skitters across the cobblestones, disappears into darkness. Bond, voiceover, distant, as if from underwater. The gun is gone. I am defenseless. I am 20 years old, and this man has killed more people than I have ever met. Carter advances. His shoulder is bleeding, but the wound is not deep. Bond's bullet only grazed him. Carter. You're not the first student I've killed. You won't be the last. He swings again. Bond tries to dodge. He is too slow. The fist connects with his ribs. He hears something crack, feels a white-hot pain that steals his breath. He falls to his knees. Bond, voiceover, gasping. Broken rib, maybe two. Can't breathe, can't think, can't. Carter grabs his hair, pulls his head back, exposes his throat. Carter, almost gentle. This will only take a second. Bond sees something on the ground, a piece of metal, the edge of the fountain's drain cover, sharp, rusted, not a weapon, not yet. He grabs it, he stabs upward. The metal pierces Carter's thigh, deep, not deep enough to kill, deep enough to make him scream. Carter releases Bond's hair, stumbles backward. His hand goes to his leg. The dark fabric of his trousers turns blacker with blood. Carter, through gritted teeth. You little bastard. Bond doesn't wait, he doesn't think, he doesn't plan, he runs, exterior. College, south courtyard, continuous. He runs through the courtyard, past the fountain, through the archway, into the maze of corridors that only he knows. The pain in his ribs is a fire, each breath is a knife. His vision blurs, his ears ring. Bond, voiceover. Run, don't stop, don't look back. If he catches you, you're dead. If you fall, you're dead. If you hesitate, dead. He reaches the library, the side door, unlocked. He made sure of that weeks ago. He slips inside, closes the door behind him, locks it, leans against the wall, slides down, sits on the cold stone floor. His hands are shaking, his breath is ragged. He feels something wet on his face. He touches his cheek. Blood, not his, Carter's. He doesn't know. Bond, voiceover, barely a whisper. I should be dead. He should have killed me. He was better, stronger, faster. But he made one mistake. He closes his eyes. Bond, voiceover. He underestimated me. Interior library, main reading room, night. Bond sits in the darkness. The Beretta is gone, his ribs are cracked, his face is bleeding, his hands are shaking, but he is alive. He stays there for an hour, 2 hours, listening, waiting for Carter to find him. Carter doesn't come. Bond, voiceover. He knows I'm not worth the risk. Not tonight. He'll wait. He'll find me another time, when I'm alone, when I'm not expecting it. He stands. His ribs scream. He ignores them. Bond, voiceover. But I won't let him. I can't let him. Because if I die, Edwards dies. And if Edwards dies, the truth dies with her. He walks to the door, opens it. The corridor is empty. Bond, voiceover. Tonight, I learned something. The mission doesn't care if I'm afraid. The mission doesn't care if I'm hurt. The mission doesn't care if I live or die. He steps into the corridor. Bond, voiceover. The mission only cares if I finish. Interior Bond's college room, later. He returns to his room, locks the door, checks the window. The alley is empty. He sits on the edge of the bed, removes his shirt, looks at his ribs, purple, swollen. Cracked but not broken through. He binds them with a towel, tight, breathes through the pain. He looks at the empty drawer. The Beretta is gone, lost in the courtyard, probably picked up by Carter, or by some student who will never know what they found. Bond, voiceover. No weapon, no backup, no plan. Just me and Edwards and the thesis and the men who want us both dead. He lies down, stares at the ceiling. Bond, voiceover. Tonight I fought for my life, and I won. But I don't feel like a winner. I feel like a survivor, and surviving is not the same as living. The pipe drips, drip, drip, drip. Bond, voiceover. Edwards will die. I will kill her. And after that, after the thesis is ash and the photographs are burned and the witnesses are silenced, I will become what they want me to become. He closes his eyes. Bond, voiceover. Not a killer, something worse. A man who has stopped being surprised by cruelty. The last sound, the pipe dripping. Drip, drip, drip. Like a clock counting down to something that cannot be stopped. Chapter 7. The Cleaners. Fade in. Silence, not the silence of a quiet room, the silence of a room that is holding its breath. Then, the sound of a key turning in a lock, a door opening, footsteps on carpet, a woman's voice, warm, unsuspecting. Interior Professor Edwards' house, Cambridge, night. The house is small, Victorian, narrow. A student rental converted years ago into faculty housing. The walls are thin, the floors creak. The garden is overgrown. Edwards has no time for gardening. She lives here alone. Her husband is dead. Her children are grown, scattered, distant. She writes her thesis in the front room at a desk that faces the street so she can watch the students walk by. Tonight, the desk is empty. The thesis is finished. 247 pages. The manuscript sits in a leather folder on the kitchen table, waiting for the morning courier. Edwards is in the kitchen. She wears a dressing gown, old, faded, the color of dust. Her hair is loose, grey, falling over her shoulders. She is making tea. The kettle hums. The steam rises. She hums a tune, something from her youth, something she has not thought of in decades. She does not hear the door open. She does not hear the footsteps on the carpet. She hears nothing until Bond speaks. Bond, from the doorway, quiet, almost gentle. Professor. She turns. The kettle is in her hand. She does not drop it. She sets it down on the counter slowly, carefully. But her eyes are not calm. They are searching. They are already afraid. Edwards, her voice steady, but quieter than before. Mr. Bond, you startled me. Bond. I'm sorry. He is not sorry. She can see that. Edwards, moving to the table, not sitting, standing, her hand on the back of the chair. It's late, past midnight. What brings you here at this hour? Bond. The thesis. Edwards, a small, nervous smile. The thesis is finished. It's been finished for 3 days. You know that. You typed the last chapter yourself. Bond. I know. He steps into the light. She sees his face now, sees the emptiness there, the absence of something she has come to expect, warmth perhaps, or the pretense of it. Edwards, her hand tightening on the chair. James, what is this? Bond. I need you to sit down, Professor. Edwards. I don't want to sit down. Bond, taking another step closer. Please. She looks at him, really looks, at the hard set of his jaw, at the way his hands hang at his sides, not relaxed, not tense, but ready. At his eyes, those pale, cold eyes that she has always known were hiding something. Something clicks behind her face. A lock opening. A truth she has been avoiding. Edward's, barely a whisper. Oh, God. Bond. Sit down, Elena. Her name, he has never used her first name before. She sits, not because he asked, because her legs will no longer hold her. She stares at him, her face is pale. Her hands are trembling now, she cannot hide it. Edwards. Timothy, David, they were murdered, weren't they? Bond. Yes. Edwards. And you knew. Bond. Yes. Edwards, her voice rising, not shouting, but sharp, like a blade being drawn. You knew and you said nothing. You sat in my office. You typed my words. You drank my tea. You laughed at my jokes. And all the while. Bond cutting her off, his voice cold. I was doing my job. Edwards standing now, pushing back from the table, the chair scraping against the floor. Your job was to help me, to assist me, to be my student. Bond. My job was to make sure you finished the thesis, and to make sure you never published it. She freezes. The words hang in the air between them. Edwards, slowly, her voice dropping. Never published. You were never going to let me publish. Bond. Not me, the people I work for. Edwards. Who do you work for? Bond. The people you've been writing about. The ones who run the world from the shadows. The ones who ordered Timothy's death, and David's, and the 47 before them. She stares at him. Her mouth opens, closes, opens again. Edwards. You're one of them. Bond. I'm the one they sent to watch you, to protect you, to make sure you didn't die before the thesis was finished. Edwards, laughing, a short, hysterical burst. Protect me. You protected me so I could finish writing, so they could kill me after. Bond, quietly. Yes. The word lands like a stone in still water. The ripples spread. The silence that follows is vast and terrible. Edwards sinks back into the chair, not because she wants to, because the weight of what she has just learned is pressing down on her shoulders, pushing her into the seat. Edwards, her voice breaking. I trusted you. Bond. I know. Edwards, looking up at him, her eyes wet, her face twisted with something between rage and grief. You sat in my office, day after day. You brought me tea. You laughed at my jokes. You called me professor as if you respected me. And all the while, you were counting the days until I died. Bond. I was counting the days until the thesis was finished. Edwards. That's the same thing. She stands again, not calmly this time. She is shaking. Her hands are fists at her sides. Edwards. How can you do this? How can you sit there in my kitchen and tell me that you've been waiting to kill me? How can you be so calm? Bond, still standing by the counter, still motionless, his voice flat. Because if I let myself feel what I'm doing, I wouldn't be able to do it. Edwards. Then don't do it. She steps toward him, not threatening, pleading. Edwards. Walk away, leave, tell them you couldn't, tell them I escaped, tell them anything, just don't. She stops, her voice catches, Edwards whispering. Please, James, I'm not ready to die. Bond, after a long pause, his voice softer now, almost human. No one ever is. Edwards, grabbing his arm, her fingers digging into his sleeve. There must be another way. I could leave the country. I could destroy the thesis. I could pretend I never wrote it. I could. Bond, gently removing her hand, not roughly, but firmly. They would find you. They always find you. And if you destroy the thesis, they will kill you anyway. But they will also kill people you care about, people you've never met, students, colleagues, anyone who ever helped you. He looks at her. His eyes are not cold now. They are tired, deeply, impossibly tired. Bond. That is how they control the world, Elena. Not by killing the ones who fight, by killing the ones who try to help. She steps back. Her hand falls to her side. Her face is white. Her lips are trembling. Edwards. You're lying. You're trying to scare me. Bond. I'm trying to make you understand. There is no other way. There never was. She turns away, walks to the window, stands with her back to him. Her shoulders are shaking. Edwards, her voice muffled, facing the glass. How long have you known that you would be the one to kill me? Bond. From the beginning. Edwards. And you stayed. You came to my office. You typed my words. You became my friend. You became the only person in this godforsaken college who treated me like a human being. She turns. Her face is wet. Her eyes are red. Edwards. And all of it was a lie. Bond. Not all of it. She stares at him. Edwards. What? Bond, quietly, the first crack in his composure, the first hint of something beneath the ice. I enjoyed working with you. I enjoyed your company. I enjoyed your mind. You are the most brilliant person I have ever met, and the thought of, he stops, swallows, the thought of what I have to do. Edwards, stepping closer, her voice sharp. Then don't. If you feel something, if any of it was real, then don't. Bond. If I don't, someone else will. And they will not be gentle. They will not let you sit at your kitchen table and look out the window. They will not give you time to say goodbye. They will come in the night, and you will disappear, and no one will ever know what happened to you. He steps closer to her, close enough to touch. Bond. This is the only gift I can give you, Elena. A death that looks like sleep. A death that leaves your work intact. A death that makes you a martyr, not a missing person. She looks at him. Her eyes are searching his face, for the lie, for the escape, for the crack in the wall she can slip through. Edwards. And if I fight? Bond. I would expect nothing less. Edwards, her voice hardening. Then I will fight. She moves fast, faster than he expected. She grabs the kettle from the counter, not the base, the kettle itself, still half full of boiling water, and hurls it at his head. He ducks. The kettle strikes the wall behind him. Water explodes across the plaster. Steam rises. The crash is loud, too loud, but the house is old, the walls are thick, and no one will come. Bond, straightening, water dripping from his hair. Elena. She is already moving. Not toward the door, he is blocking it. Toward the drawer beside the refrigerator. She yanks it open. Her hand closes around something, a knife, large, serrated, the one she uses for bread. She turns, holds it out in front of her. Both hands. The point is aimed at his chest. Edwards, breathing hard. Get out of my house. Bond, not moving. Put the knife down. Edwards. Get out of my house. He takes a step toward her. She swings. The blade cuts through the air. He steps back just in time. It misses his chest by inches. Bond, his voice harder now. Elena, put the knife down. Don't make this worse. Edwards, her voice wild, desperate. Worse, worse than dying. Worse than being killed by a boy I trusted. A boy cared about. What could possibly be worse than that? She swings again. This time he does not step back. He catches her wrist. His grip is iron. She struggles, twists, pulls, tries to bring the blade around, but he is stronger. He is trained. She is a 55-year-old historian who has never fought anyone in her life. He twists the knife from her hand. It clatters to the floor. She stands before him, empty-handed, breathing in gasps. Her dressing gown is open. Her hair is wild. Her face is flushed with fear and fury, and something else, something that looks like grief. Edwards, her voice breaking. Please. Bond. I'm sorry. Edwards. Don't say that. Don't you dare say that. Bond. It's true. She hits him. Her fist strikes his chest, not hard, not painful, but desperate. Then again. And again. Small, weak blows that land on his shoulders, his arms, his chest. She is crying now, not silently, but openly, her face wet, her breath coming in sobs. Edwards. You bastard. You absolute bastard. I trusted you. I liked you. I thought you were different, I thought. He catches her wrists, holds them gently, does not let her go. Bond, quietly, his voice almost broken. I am different. That's why they sent me. She stops struggling, looks at him. Her face is inches from his. Edwards, whispering. What do you mean? Bond. Because I would care. Because I would make it quick. Because I would give you time. Because I would let you fight. Anyone else would have done it already. Would have killed you the moment you opened the door. Would have made it look like an accident, and you would be gone, and no one would ever know. He releases her wrists. She does not step back. Bond. I am giving you the only thing I can give you, Elena, a choice. You can fight. You can run. You can scream. You can try to escape. And I will stop you, every time, because that is my job. He looks at her. His eyes are wet. She has never seen him cry. She does not know if he is capable of it. Bond. Or you can sit down. You can let me do what I came here to do. And you can die with dignity, with your work intact, with your name remembered. She stares at him. Her chest is heaving. Her hands are shaking. Edwards. You're asking me to give up. Bond. I'm asking you to choose how you want to be remembered, as a victim or as a martyr. She is silent for a long time. The clock on the wall ticks. The kettle lies on the floor, dented, leaking the last of its water onto the linoleum. Edwards, quietly. You said my name would be remembered, as a warning. Bond. Yes. Edwards. And the thesis, it will be published. Bond. Under both our names. Yours posthumously. It will be a bestseller. People will read it. They will know the truth. Edwards, almost smiling, a bitter, broken smile. And you will be famous. Bond. I will be forgotten. That is the deal. She looks at him, really looks, at the young man who came to her office 8 months ago, pretending to be a student, at the boy who typed her words and drank her tea and laughed at her jokes, at the killer standing in her kitchen, waiting for her to decide how she wants to die. Edwards. You're not what they made you, not yet. There's still something human in you, James Bond. I can see it. Behind the ice, behind the training, behind the orders. Bond, quietly. Not for much longer. Edwards. No, not for much longer. She walks back to the table, sits down. Her hands are folded in front of her. Her face is pale but calm now. The fight has gone out of her not because she has given up, but because she has chosen. Edwards. Do it quickly, and don't let me suffer. Bond. I won't. He moves behind her. His hands rest on the back of her chair. Edwards, looking at the leather folder on the table, at the title page, she can see through the glassine cover. The Thesis Is Murder. I chose that title because I thought it was clever. a play on words. I didn't know it would be literal. Bond. Elena. Edwards. Let me look at it one last time. She reaches out. Her fingers touch the folder, stroke the leather. Edwards, softly. I wanted to change the world. I thought the truth would be enough. I didn't know the truth needed an army. Bond. The truth doesn't need an army. It needs witnesses, and you will be one. Edwards, closing her eyes. Will you remember me, James, after tonight, after the thesis is published, after you become what they want you to become? Will you remember that I fought? Bond, after a long pause, his voice barely a whisper. Yes. Edwards. Good, that's all I ask. She takes a breath, lets it out slowly. Edwards. I'm ready. He reaches for the cushion on the chair beside him. Small, square, embroidered with flowers, a gift from her daughter many years ago. He places it over her face. For a moment she is still. Then she struggles, not violently, not the wild thrashing of before, but her hands come up. Her fingers grip his wrists. Her body strains against the chair. Edwards, muffled, desperate. En. He presses down, harder, steadier. Her hands claw at his sleeves. Her nails leave marks on his skin. Her legs kick out once, twice, catching the table, making it shudder. Bond, through gritted teeth, not to her, to himself. Stay still, please, stay still. She does not stay still. She fights. Every instinct, every nerve, every fiber of her being screams against the darkness that is closing in. She does not want to die. She has never wanted to die. She wanted to live. She wanted to see her grandchildren. She wanted to watch the leaves turn in the autumn. She wanted to finish another book. She wanted. Her hands fall, her legs stop moving, her body goes limp. Bond keeps the cushion in place for another minute, then another. Then he removes it. Her face is peaceful, her eyes are closed. Her mouth is slightly open as if she is about to speak. She is not going to speak again. He stands. His hands are shaking. He looks at them, at the red marks on his wrists where her nails dug in. At the blood, not hers, his welling up from the scratches. Bond, voiceover, ragged, broken. She fought. I knew she would. I told myself I was prepared. I told myself I could do what needed to be done. He looks at her face, at the grey hair loose on her shoulders, at the hands folded on the table. Bond, voiceover. I was wrong. I wasn't prepared. I am never prepared. But I did it anyway, because that is what they trained me to do, because that is who I am now. He reaches for the leather folder, opens it, reads the title page. The Unwritten Chapters, A History of Intelligence in the Cold War. By Professor Elena Edwards, Ph.D. He closes the folder, puts it under his arm. He takes one last look at her, at the woman who trusted him, who fought him, who died with her eyes open and her hands reaching for something he could not give her. Bond, voiceover. Elena Edwards fought for her life, and I took it from her. That is the difference between us. That is the difference between me and everyone else in this world. He turns away. Bond, voiceover. She asked me to remember her. I will, every day, every night. Every time I close my eyes and see her face, calm in death, still fighting, still hoping, still believing that the truth would set her free. He walks to the door, stops, does not look back. Bond, voiceover. The truth didn't set her free. It killed her, and I was the weapon. Exterior, Professor Edwards' house, night. Bond stands on the pavement. The rain has stopped. The street is empty. The yellow street lamps flicker. His hands are still shaking. He looks down at them, at the scratches, at the blood. He wipes them on his coat. A car pulls up, black, unmarked. The windows are tinted. The back door opens. Inside, his face half in shadow. Get in. Bond gets in. The door closes. The car pulls away. For a long time, neither of them speaks. M. The thesis. Bond, his voice flat, empty. I have it. M. Good. Bond looks out the window. The lights of Cambridge recede in the distance. Bond, quietly. She fought. She fought like she meant it, like she had something to lose. M. They always do. Bond. Not like her. M says nothing. The car drives on. Bond. I will never forget her name. M. Good. That will be your punishment. Bond. My punishment for what? M, looking at him, his eyes tired, old. For being good at this. Fade to black. The last sound, not the rain, not the car, just the soft, broken breathing of a man who has killed for the first time and knows he will do it again. Chapter 8. The silence after. Fade in. The sound of rain, not the hard rain of previous nights, something softer, weary, as if the sky itself is exhausted. Then footsteps on a wooden floor, the creak of old floorboards, the sound of cardboard being folded. Interior Bond's college room, morning. The room is nearly empty. The desk is bare, no photographs, no papers, no lamp with the green glass shade. The bed is stripped, the sheets folded into a neat square, the blanket rolled, the pillow placed on top like a headstone. The wardrobe is open, empty, its wire hangers clinking together in the draught. Bond stands in the center of the room. He wears a dark sweater, dark trousers, dark shoes. He has not slept. His eyes are red-rimmed, his jaw is shadowed with stubble, his hands are steady but his heart is not. 3 cardboard boxes sit by the door, books, notes, the detritus of 8 months of pretending to be a student. A leather suitcase lies open on the stripped bed. He packs methodically, shirts folded with military precision, trousers rolled to prevent creases, socks paired, tucked into the corners, a toilet kit, toothbrush, razor, comb, nothing more. Then, from the bottom of the wardrobe, he retrieves a small metal box, locked. He opens it with a key that hangs around his neck, hidden beneath his sweater. Inside, the Beretta 418, field stripped, oiled, wrapped in a cloth. The skeleton grip was exposed, no grips, just the bare metal frame. It looked fragile. It wasn't. He had cleaned it 100 times. He knew every scratch, every mark, every imperfection. He had never fired it at a human being, but he would, someday. He places the weapon in the suitcase first, wrapped in a sweater, then the magazines, then the ammunition, then the silencer. He closes the suitcase, locks it. He stands for a moment looking at the empty room. Bond, voiceover, quiet, tired. This was never my room. I was never a student. I was a visitor, a guest, a ghost. The college will give this room to someone else next week. They will move in their books, their clothes, their photographs. They will never know that a woman died so they could study in peace. He picks up the 3 cardboard boxes, carries them to the door, stacks them in the corridor. Then he returns. There is one thing left. Interior Bond's college room, later, the photographs. On the floor beneath the desk, hidden until now, is a paper bag. Brown, worn, he reaches in, photographs, dozens of them, the wall of faces, the 4 young men in gowns, the one who is not laughing, Edward standing in front of the library, her grey hair blowing in the wind. He has kept them, he does not know why. He carries the bag to the window, opens it, looks at the photographs one by one. The faces stare back at him. Young, hopeful, alive. Bond, voiceover. Timothy Preston, David Ashworth, 47 others, and now Elena Edwards, all of them dead because they asked questions, all of them dead because I followed orders. He strikes a match, lights the corner of the first photograph. The flame catches, spreads. The face of a young woman, 1968, dark hair, dark eyes, curls inward, blackens, turns to ash. He drops it into the empty fireplace, lights another, another, another. The photographs burn, the smoke rises, the room smells of fire and paper and the end of something. Bond voiceover. This is what they don't tell you about secrets. They don't just live in your head. They live in your hands, in your lungs, in the spaces between your ribs. You carry them everywhere. And when you try to burn them, they just turn to smoke and find their way inside you anyway. He watches the last photograph burn. Edwards standing in front of the library, her eyes pale, intelligent, seeing everything dissolve into flame. He does not look away. He owes her that much. The photographs were ash. He watched the last ember fade. Then he picked up the manuscript. One more thing to burn. Interior college basement, sub-level 1, the old heating system, later. The basement is not the one with the secret archive. This is older, deeper in a different way. The pipes here are thick, wrapped in asbestos, hissing with steam. The floor is concrete, stained with decades of oil and rust. A single bare bulb hangs from the ceiling, casting harsh light on the old coal furnace, converted to oil decades ago, converted to gas after that, now used only for heating the oldest wing of the college. It is still hot. Still hungry, Bond stands before the furnace. The iron door is open. Inside, orange flames flicker, not wild, not angry, but steady, patient, like a beast that has been feeding for a century and will feed for a century more. In his hands, a manuscript. The thesis is murder. Not Edward's thesis. His, the one they made him write. The one that was supposed to be published under both their names. The one that would have made her a martyr and him a ghost. But not anymore. He had decided. The plan had changed. He had changed. The pages are thick, heavy. The ink is black. The words are lies, elegant lies, well-researched lies, lies that would have fooled the world. He holds it over the open furnace. Bond voiceover. This is what she died for, not the truth. A version of the truth. Sanitized, approved, safe. The real truth, the one she uncovered, the one that killed her, will never see the light of day. Not from me, not from anyone. He looks at the title page. The Unwritten Chapters, A History of Intelligence in the Cold War. By Alina Edwards, Ph.D. and James Bond, as told to. Bond voiceover. She wanted to change the world. She wanted to set the record straight. She wanted to name the names and expose the crimes and make sure no one ever forgot. He turns to the first page, begins to read. His lips move, but no sound comes out. Bond voiceover. It was all for nothing, not because she was wrong, because she was right. And being right is the most dangerous thing in the world. He tears the first page from the manuscript, holds it over the flames. The paper curls, blackens, burns. He tears another, another, another. Each page takes a few seconds to die. The flames lick at the edges, consume the words, turn the paper to ash that rises on the hot air and disappears into the pipes. Bond voiceover. It hurts, not because I wrote it, because she lived it, every word, every sentence, every footnote. She bled into these pages, and now I am burning her blood. He tears faster. The pages fall in handfuls now. The furnace roars hungrier faster, as if it knows what it is being fed. The last page. He holds it for a long moment. Bond voiceover. I'm sorry, Alina, not for killing you, for burning this, for letting them win, for being too weak to do anything else. He lets it go. The flame catches. The page curls. The words dissolve. The furnace door closes with a heavy, final thud. Bond voiceover, barely a whisper. The thesis is gone, not hidden, not archived, not waiting to be discovered, just gone like Timothy, like David, like the 47 before them. He leans his forehead against the warm metal of the furnace door. Bond voiceover. I have nothing left to give them. No manuscript, no evidence, no truth, only memory, and memory is not enough to change the world. He straightens, turns away from the furnace. Bond voiceover. But it's enough to change me. Interior college corridor, outside Cat's room, late afternoon. He should not be here, his bags are packed. His boxes are stacked in the corridor, the taxi is waiting. London is waiting, Herefordshire is waiting, but he is here, standing outside her door. He can hear her inside, moving, packing. She is leaving to Switzerland, a scholarship, a new life. He raises his hand to knock, stops. His hand hovers in the air. Bond, voiceover. I want to see her. I want to touch her face. I want to hold her one more time. I want to pretend, for just a few hours, that I am not what I am. He lowers his hand. Bond, voiceover. I want to have sex with her, not because I'm a man with needs, because when I am inside her, I forget. I forget the photographs. I forget the wall of faces. I forget the sound of Alina's hands clawing at my wrists. He leans his forehead against the doorframe. His eyes are closed. Bond, voiceover. But I cannot, because if I look into her eyes, she will know. She will see what I have done. She will see the blood on my hands, not real blood, but blood all the same. She will see the killer beneath the skin, and she will be afraid. He hears her footsteps approach the door. He steps back, moves into the shadows of the corridor. The door opens. Cat stands in the doorway. Her dark hair is loose. Her grey eyes are red. She has been crying. She wears her oversized cardigan, the same one she wore the first night she came to his room. She looks left, right, sees no one. Cat to herself, barely a whisper. James. He does not answer. She stands there for a long moment, waiting, hoping. Then she closes the door. He hears her footsteps retreat. Hears her begin to cry softly, quietly, the way people cry when they think no one is listening. He stays in the shadows. Bond, voiceover. She knows, not the details, not the names, but she knows that I am responsible. She knows that the man she trusted, the man she let inside her body and her heart, is the same man who killed Alina Edwards. He turns away. Bond, voiceover. She is not afraid of me. That is the worst part. She is afraid for me. She thinks there is still something worth saving. She does not understand that I burned it in the furnace with the manuscript. He walks down the corridor. His footsteps are silent. Behind him, through the door, he hears her say his name one more time. Cat, muffled, broken. James, please. He does not stop. Interior Bond's college room, late afternoon, final check. The room is empty now. The boxes are gone. The suitcase is gone. The only thing left is the key to the room lying on the windowsill. Bond picks it up, looks at it, small, brass. 1,000 students have held this key before him. 1,000 will hold it after. He slips it into his pocket. He walks to the window, looks out at the brick wall. The pipe drips, drip, drip, drip. Bond, voiceover. I will miss this sound. Not because it is beautiful, because it is honest. It does not pretend to be anything other than what it is. A pipe, a drip, a small, steady reminder that time is passing. He turns away, walks to the door, turns back one last time. The empty room, the bare walls, the stripped bed, the ghost of a woman sitting at the desk, typing. Bond, voiceover. I will never come back here, not because I cannot, because I do not deserve to. He closes the door. Exterior, college courtyard, dusk. The taxi waits by the fountain. The driver is reading a newspaper, smoking a cigarette, not paying attention. Bond loads his suitcase into the boot. His boxes are already inside. He stands for a moment, looking up at the building, at the window that was his, at the window that was Cat's, at the window that was Edward's office, the stained glass book and lamp, dark now, reflecting nothing. Bond, voiceover. Cambridge will not remember me. The college will not remember me. The students will not remember me. I came as a ghost. I leave as a ghost. He gets into the taxi. The driver starts the engine. Driver, without looking back. Where to, sir? Bond. London, King's Cross. The taxi pulls away. The fountain bubbles. The sky is grey. The rain has stopped, but the clouds have not lifted. Bond watches the college recede in the rear window. The spires, the towers, the windows. A face appears at one of the windows. Small, distant. Grey hair loose, watching him go. He blinks. The face is gone. Bond, voiceover. I saw her, or I imagined her. Either way, she is there. She will always be there. In the corner of my eye, in the silence between heartbeats, in the dreams I will never tell anyone about. He closes his eyes. The taxi drives on. Interior taxi, London Road, night. The landscape blurs past the window. Fields, trees, houses, street lamps. Bond sits in the back seat. His hands are folded in his lap. His face is empty. But inside, something is turning. Bond, voiceover. Kat will go to Switzerland. She will study. She will write poetry. She will fall in love with someone who is not me. She will have children. She will grow old. She will forget my name. He looks down at his hands. Bond, voiceover. I will not forget hers. The taxi speeds on. The lights of Cambridge disappear behind him. Interior train, Cambridge to London, night. The train is nearly empty. Bond sits by the window, his suitcase at his feet, his boxes in the luggage rack above. He looks out at the darkness. The occasional light, a farmhouse, a village, a signal box flashes past and is gone. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out a photograph. The only one he did not burn, Kat, in his room, laughing. The camera caught her mid-laugh, her head thrown back, her hair falling over her face. She is wearing his sweater, too large, the sleeves rolled up. He looks at it for a long time. Then he puts it in his pocket, against his heart. Bond, voiceover. I will keep this, not as a memory, as a warning. A reminder of what I am not allowed to have. A reminder of what I have sacrificed. The train speeds on. London is an hour away. Bond, voiceover. The thesis is murder. The professor is dead. The girl is gone. The manuscript is ash. He looks out the window. The darkness is complete. Bond, voiceover. And James Bond is what remains. Time passes. Fade in. The sound of boots on gravel, a whistle blowing, men shouting, the crack of gunfire, distant, controlled, rhythmic. Then silence. Exterior, training facility, Herefordshire, day, 3 months later. The facility does not appear on any map. It is hidden in a fold of hills, surrounded by barbed wire and forest. The buildings are low, grey, functional barracks, mess hall, obstacle courses, shooting ranges. Bond stands in the centre of a training yard. He wears combat fatigues, no name tag, no rank, no insignia. His face is thinner than it was at Cambridge. His eyes are the same, pale, cold, watching. Instructor, a man with a face like carved granite, his voice a bark. Again. Bond runs the obstacle course. Faster this time. Cleaner. He does not hesitate at the wall, does not slip on the rope, does not miss the landing. Instructor, without emotion. Faster. He runs again. Instructor. Again. He runs until his lungs burn, until his legs tremble, until the world narrows to the next obstacle, the next step, the next breath. Instructor, as Bond stands, bent over, gasping for air. Good, now do it at night, in the rain, with 3 bullets in your shoulder. Bond looks up. His face is empty. Bond. Yes, sir. The instructor watches him walk away, turns to another trainer, a woman in civilian clothes, her hair cropped short, her eyes sharp. Instructor, quietly. What do you think? Woman, watching Bond disappear into the barracks. He's not afraid. Instructor. Of what? Woman. Of anything. That's the problem. A man who isn't afraid doesn't know when to stop. Instructor. Then we teach him. Woman, shaking her head. You can't teach fear. You can only teach respect for consequences. And he doesn't believe in consequences. Not anymore. Interior barracks, night. Bond sits on his bunk. The room is small, 4 beds, 4 lockers, 1 window. The other 3 beds are empty. The other recruits have been sent home. Failed, quit, broken. He is the only one left. He holds the photograph of Kat, studies her face. Bond, voiceover. 3 months. I have not slept more than 4 hours a night. I have run until I collapsed. I have been beaten, starved, frozen, burned. I have fired 10,000 rounds. I have learned to kill a man with a pencil, a belt, a rolled-up newspaper. He puts the photograph away. Bond, voiceover. I have not thought of her, not once. That is a lie. I think of her every night. Every time I close my eyes, she is there, laughing, wearing my sweater, saying my name like it means something. He lies down, stares at the ceiling. Bond, voiceover. I will never see her again. That is the price, not the killing, the leaving, the knowing that I could have stayed, could have been someone else, could have lived a different life. But I chose this. I chose the shadows. I chose the silence. I chose to become a weapon. He closes his eyes. Bond, voiceover. And I will never stop choosing it. That is what makes me dangerous, not the training, the certainty. Exterior, shooting range, day, 6 months later. Bond stands at the firing line, a paper target at 50 meters. The center is already shredded. In his hand, the Beretta 418, small, light, insufficient stopping power, they said, a lady's gun, but it was his, and it had never failed him. Instructor. Reload. He reloads. 7 rounds, fires. The target disintegrates. Instructor. Faster. He reloads, fires. The empty magazine clatters to the ground. Instructor. Blindfolded. A cloth is tied over his eyes. He listens, breathes. The wind is from the north 3 knots. The target has been moved. He hears the pulley, counts the distance. 15 meters, 20, 25. He fires. The instructor checks the target. 5 rounds in the center, 2 in the 9 ring. Instructor almost impressed. Good. Bond removing the blindfold, his face expressionless. Good enough. Instructor meeting his eyes. For now. Interior interrogation room, training facility, night, 9 months later. The room is bare, concrete walls, a single table, 2 chairs, a bright light aimed at Bond's face. He sits in the chair. His hands are cuffed behind his back. He has not slept in 48 hours. They have been questioning him for 12. Interrogator, a woman with cold eyes, her voice soft, almost gentle. Tell me about Elena Edwards. Bond does not react. Interrogator. We know you killed her. We know you burned the manuscript. We know you left her body at the kitchen table. Tell us how you felt. Bond, his voice flat. I felt nothing. Interrogator. Nothing. Bond. Nothing. She leans closer. Interrogator. Then you are a liar or a psychopath. Either way, you are dangerous. Bond. Yes. She stands, walks to the door. Interrogator without turning. You're ready. Bond. For what? Interrogator. For the next stage. Interior briefing room, training facility. Day, 11 months later. The room is small. A table, a screen. M sits at the head of the table. Bond sits across from him. The screen shows a photograph. A man, middle-aged, dark hair, dark eyes. M. His name is Alexei Petrov. He is a former KGB officer. He is selling state secrets to the highest bidder. We want you to stop him. Bond. Kill him. M looking at Bond, his eyes tired, old. If necessary. Bond. Where? M. Berlin. He has a safe house in the former East. We have intelligence that he will be there for 3 days. After that, he disappears. Bond. And if I succeed? M. You will be debriefed, evaluated, then given your next assignment. Bond. And after that? M, almost smiling, but there is no warmth in it. After that, you will no longer be James Bond, research assistant. You will be James Bond, zero agent, license to kill, license to live in the shadows, license to die alone. Bond looks at the photograph, at the man he is being asked to kill. Bond. I'll leave tonight. M. I know. Bond stands, turns to go. M. Bond. He stops. M. The woman, Catherine Marlowe, she is in Zurich. She is happy. She has a new life. Do not contact her. Do not look for her. Do not even think about her. She is the one thing you cannot afford. Bond is silent for a long moment. Bond, without turning. I know. He walks out. Exterior. Training facility. Helipad night. The helicopter rotors chop the air. Bond stands beside it, his suitcase at his feet. He wears a dark suit, his own, not borrowed. His hair is cut short. His face is lean, hard, empty. A woman approaches, the one from the shooting range, the one who watched him in the obstacle course. Woman. You're ready. Bond. Am I? Woman. You passed every test. You broke every record. You killed the target's paper, not yet human, but you know the difference is small. Bond. There is no difference. She looks at him. Her eyes are not cold. They are something else, something almost like pity. Woman. That is what they wanted to hear. It is not what I wanted to hear. Bond. What did you want to hear? Woman, quietly. I wanted to hear that you still care, that you still feel. That killing Alina Edwards meant something to you, not because I am sentimental, because a man who feels nothing is a man who cannot be trusted. Bond, meeting her eyes. It meant everything. That is why I feel nothing now. I used it all up, on her, on Kat, on the 47 faces on the wall. There is nothing left. She nods, slowly, as if she understands. Woman. Then go, kill Petrov, come back, and when they give you the 00, remember that you chose this. No one forced you. No one made you. You chose the shadows. You chose the silence. You chose to become a weapon. Bond. Yes. He picks up his suitcase, walks to the helicopter, climbs inside. The rotors spin faster. The helicopter lifts. The woman watches him rise into the darkness, watches the lights of the facility grow small, then disappear. Woman to herself, barely a whisper. Good luck, James Bond. You will need it. Interior helicopter, night. Bond looks out the window. The lights of Herefordshire fade behind him. Ahead, darkness, the mission, the kill, the beginning of everything he has been trained to become. He reaches into his pocket, pulls out the photograph of Kat, looks at her face. Bond, voiceover. This is the last time I will look at you. The last time I will remember your laugh. The last time I will feel anything like love. He holds the photograph over his knee, prepares to tear it in half. He cannot. He puts it back in his pocket. Against his heart, Bond voiceover. I am not ready to let you go. Not yet. Perhaps not ever. That is my weakness. That is my humanity. That is the thing they cannot train out of me. The helicopter flies on. The night is dark. The mission is waiting. Bond voiceover. The thesis is murder. The professor is dead. The girl is gone. The manuscript is ash. He closes his eyes. Bond voiceover. James Bond is dead. Long live James Bond. Fade to black. The last sound, not the helicopter, not the rain, just the soft, steady heartbeat of a man who has killed and will kill again. A man who has lost and will lose again. A man who is not yet 007. But he will be. The end.